This is the XNC Podcast, your Xbox newscast featuring Colteastwood, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, XNC Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the XNC Podcast live.
Hi, this is Colteastwood. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking before the show, because news has been quiet, but we got some great stuff today. I was like, what if I just started the show like, I'm sad. I'm really actually super excited. I've got a couple of my best friends here. This is the best part about the XNC Podcast. I've tried to build this little show, but I've been able to get on some of my best friends, and I'm so happy to have the boys from GoLive, from the GameOn Daily site, the famous, the wonderful, the sexy, the spicy, and the saucy. How are you guys doing? Asa, welcome to the show yet again.
Yeah, I can't believe you have me back. It's awesome. I'm staying up past my bedtime, talking to Colt and Gaz and everyone in chat. It's great.
I really appreciate it. Gaz, I got the intro, the leader of the sauce. You and Ace are doing amazing things with your channel and with your skits and with your technalysis and everything. But you just had a spicy bowl of noodles to fire you up. Tell the audience, how are you doing?
Diarrhea. That's what I look at that. Look at that. So I thought it was a clever idea 20 minutes before the show to have 2x Samyang noodles. Bad idea. I was literally texting Colt. This is gonna be a little bit late, so that's thanks to me, because less details the better. But I'm here. I'm awake.
Fun fact: the bowl and the toilet will look identical in about 2 hours.
Oh no! There'll be a little bit more red in the toilet, but yeah, because of that. Look at that. Look at that. It's just
paint the walls with your blood. I'm so excited. It's been such a crazy month, guys. It's the gaming news has been super weird, like little tiny, disappointing or bad news things for Xbox and for PlayStation, then some little bit of good news for both sides. But it has definitely been a time for people to get on social media and just go to war. Like, have you been seeing this, Asa? Have you been sniffing around on this console war stuff?
You absolutely know that I'm oblivious to any console warring. So if that's going on, I'm just like, don't see that. Pretend it's not there. Everything's rosy. All the consoles are doing well. I'm happy playing games.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. We've been playing games like crazy. Shout out to the over 260 some people who are here. Starting in as we get rolling with the XNC Podcast. This is episode number 44. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm going to give a shout out to some of my veteran channel members here in a second. You guys have been fantastic. Let me call out some of these, and I need to update these again in a week because you guys have been sticking around and supporting the show and making it possible. Let me give a shout out to Ricky Falon, Zenner White, Poochie, Wolf Assassin, DeBlue, Devario 2, Gaming, Fault Lines, Wreak Havoc, Rodney Coots, Gaz, Dark CMF, Betamax, Dante, Moody, Alex Wilson, Lord Star Killer, Robert Jackson, Gamer McFly, Assassin Lupin, Nano Polymyth, Suicide King, Yodana Kizada, Phil, KY Bob, William Lanza, and Matt Burns. And like I've been saying lately, I've been talking to these people on Xbox Live. We've been playing games and tips and tricks and the Elden Ring thing. I mean, that's what I've been doing a little bit. Asa, what have you been playing?
Oh, I've been playing a couple of racing games, some good, some not so good. Had a little dabble in Tunic. I've been playing Elden Ring. When I went to download Tunic, I had a look through Game Pass and I downloaded about 15 different games. And that was just scrolling from A through to G. And I thought, I'd best stop now, like calm it down. Been playing a little bit of Nobody Saves the World, which is that's decent so far. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm sure we'll talk about some of the racing stuff you've messed around with. Gaz, you've been super busy. I talked to Gaz a little more often than I talked to Asa, and Gaz has been I told Gaz, quit your job so we can hang out more. But what have you been playing?
Apex Legends. That's a shock to anyone. I've been desperate. I played a bit of Elden Ring. That game sucks the life out of it. I got my Elgato to work. Thanks, but no thanks, Asa, for your help, which didn't come because he's too busy for me. And that's it. Really.
That's an outrageous thing to say. I was busy helping Colt with other things. He's more important.
Yeah,
Wow.
and you didn't even have to, I was gonna say today I've got my earbud back in. I was like a month I got a brand new PC over here and I could not get the signal to go to the earbuds. Asa spent like an hour and a half, like we were like diving into the computer trying to figure it out, and we finally got it situated. So I'm now more comfortable. I don't look like I'm doing air traffic control with a giant headset on. It's super, Gaz looks like he's DJing some dank, ecstasy rave somewhere, right? So another thing before we get rolling, I have to tone back on the Gaz yelling because it's driving people crazy. So
I like that.
But let me give you guys an idea of what we're going to talk about today. The news has been quite fierce. We're going to kind of kick it off by talking about GTA 5. Some weird turns there, but there's a couple of new games coming this year and a couple of studios, actually a handful of studios that got some wacky stories back and forth, good and bad. And we're going to talk about Xbox's games that they have coming up, a couple of delays. It's been so crazy. But yeah, I'm excited. I got to add that one delay on the list here so we don't forget about it. There we go. Let me just type it up real quick. Good. We are ready to rock. Chat, I hope you're having a good time. And if you are, you can support the podcast by hitting the like button. We get enough likes up there, then we can all have a great time. This podcast is live on YouTube on the Colteastwood channel. And if you're listening after the fact via Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, or Pocket Podcast, some other ones that's on demand, that'll go up after the show is. So thank you for checking out the show. We've already got some of my good friends in the chat. Zocker just stepped in. Zocker took a breath from playing Elden Ring to say sup everyone. So Zocker and I have been talking nothing but Elden Ring. I've been putting him in a chokehold and he's been kicking me on the shins and stuff. So it's been a good time. So also shout out to the moderators. We got Happy Bomb who's moderating the chat, and I'll kind of keep an eye on that as well. Let me move some stuff out of the way. Hargeet Johnny's going to kick us off with a super chat. Thank you, Hargeet, with a $5. I got to say something before I read Hargeet's super chat. This is so cool. Those of you who are in the podcast scene, Hargeet Johnny. Back here, he sent me this guy is the coolest friend, right? He sent me the 4K Blu-rays of Harry Potter, all 8 movies, and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, all on 4K Blu-ray, so I can actually use that slot in the Series X and see what this TV and surround system can do. So shout out to Hargeet Johnny. He's got something to say. He says, Asa GameOn Daily is happily playing games and not console warring, except on that Nintendo Switch, which is trash. And he says, hey, guys. All right. Gaz, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, bro.
You good? You still burning?
Oh, don't talk about it.
Let's talk about the latest burn, and I really need some of Ace's expertise in this as well. But Rockstar burned their fans by charging them $10 to $40 for a resolution and frame rate upgrade of a 9-year-old game. So, Gaz, have you finished Grand Theft Auto 5, and on what platforms, and where'd you buy it, and why you fraud?
360, almost completed it. Never actually went out. The campaign was great, by the way, but I never actually completed it because the multiplayer started working, and boom, there I was distracted. Spent countless hours on multiplayer, but then waited for the heist to come. They took the best part of 2 years, and I forgot about GTA 5. This game has such long legs, but I've seen the coverage for it. The differences between this. I can't believe they're charging you this much for what looks like menial upgrades. Like, come on, man. But yeah, generally, I'm done with GTA 5 until GTA 6 comes out, man. I don't know who pays for this stuff. Why does this keep appearing in the charts? How can it, after the best part of almost a decade, but people are buying it? But I know people who play it religiously, who will buy this upgrade, who have bought it and they love it. So who am I to knock their fun for it and their bad spending? I can't talk about bad spending, but yeah.
Yeah, it is a little, some people have been guilty. We'll get into that. Asa, what do you think about this upgrade? Have you seen have you played this like across or checked it out across the platforms as it's kind of evolved?
I have never played Grand Theft Auto 5.
What?
I've bought it. I know. I've bought it now 3 times. I've bought it twice on the PC. First time I did it, something went wrong with the Rockstar launcher, and it ate my email address and wouldn't let me play it, wouldn't send me my recovery emails, and I gave up. And then a year or 2 later, I bought it on the PC, on Steam, and it said, you've already used like your email address, you can't use it again. It still fires up the Rockstar launcher. And I got fed up and just didn't play it. So I have now bought it again for $10 on the PlayStation 5. So that I can run through the story possibly one day if I get around to it. So like you said that it's going to be $40 in the near future when the price goes back up after 3 months. Yeah. So I thought, all right, rather than let this opportunity slip away, I'll get it for its $10.
It's so weird.
And never play it.
And probably never play it.
It is such a great campaign. Shout out to you, Johnny Kuzado, who's also helping mod the chat. He's awesome. I hadn't quite looked at all of the chat at the time when I said that, but shout out to the mods who make it happen. You guys are great, and they're doing a good job, and the chat's awesome. So I got to tell you a quick story. Dealer got a code from somebody that's like he's working with through YouTube stuff. So he got the game for free, and he was playing it, and I'm like, but I want to play with you. So I bought it for $20, knowing I wasn't, because I already bought it on 360, but on Xbox One. I own it on PC. And I've played the campaign twice, and I've played a bunch of the campaign on PC, on the Xbox consoles. And I installed the game, accidentally installed the Xbox One version, and the best part about that happy mistake is that the game looks nearly identical to this new version, other than some massive aliasing. Like Michael's walking through his house, and the countertops are like stair-stepping really bad. But other than that, the game, you just get like everything kind of smooths out and the frame rate's nicer. But every other publisher is doing this for free besides PlayStation. But I don't know. Why? Why do we do this? So, Asa, have you dug into like... we keep perpetuating. Asa, what's the... what did they do with this thing to upgrade it?
They said they changed some lighting and the explosions and things like that. It's funny that you say every publisher is doing this for free. It's very much an Xbox-led initiative, and not initiative like the studio, I'm sure we'll talk about later, but it's an Xbox-led thing to do these free upgrades, and it's never been normal on consoles up until this generation. Not for Microsoft, not for PlayStation, not for anybody else.
Sure.
So... in a way, I don't massively begrudge publishers for charging that $10. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I don't massively begrudge them going in and doing an upgrade and selling an upgrade rather than reselling the game at full price. They are putting some work in. They are charging a bit, and they aren't actually... It's not massively cynical. It's the way that the industry has worked for as far back as I can remember. It's only Xbox are pushing a positive change that suits us as consumers. So obviously, if I have a choice, if someone says, do you want to pay or do you want this for free, I'm going to take it for free. But I'm not that mad at the publishers that charge that $10.
I mean, I guess we do have to think about how many people at Rockstar worked on the patch and worked on unlocking the console version and boosting the frame rate and resolution. And I'm working on optimization, which they had a tough time with, according to Digital Foundry, because the game drops.
Who cares? Who cares? They made more than enough money from shark cards alone. Stop feeling sorry for Rockstar and their crap, lazy upgrade. Oh, no, maybe they won't. And Ace is like, oh, let the publishers charge. So shut the f***. They don't need to. Oh! Ooh, echo.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to ride the line of both sides, because you get... Well, let's be honest. Like, the PlayStation guys are like, you don't want to support the developers cult. You don't want to pay them for their work. I'm like, but I can think of like way more than not. I can think of way more developers like Metro and all. Jeez, there was a ton of games just this year that got Series X and Series S and PS5 upgrades for free. But we got to side with Gaz on this when Grand Theft Auto 5 has been at the top of the sales charts for almost every month for 9 years. I don't know.
Crazy.
It is crazy. Well, I mean, nobody wants to talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 for very long, but the happy side of the story is Dealer and I have laughed our heads off playing this game. Back when this game came out 9 years ago, I had totally different friends. So to experience this with some of my current friends has been a real treat. But I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but this Harry Potter thing at State of Play, Asa, like, did you? I got to hear your reaction on this because movie IP licensed games can be really, really crappy almost every time. Let's hear your
That's
report.
true. I'm really looking forward to your opinion on Harry Potter when you've sat through all 8 of them. Gaz is a fan of it. I'm not. I don't like that world. So I'm a little bit torn because that State of Play, the game looked good. Like there's a lot to it. It's got very wooden looking animations and particularly like facial animations and stuff. Looks a little bit jarring, but it's an impressive State of Play. If the game turns out, if these systems that they're touching on have any depth to them at all, it's going to be a massive game at the end of the year. It's obviously going to sell because Harry Potter has a lot of fans. But I hate the world. Like I hate the world. I don't care for the Harry Potter world. Right?
Happiness. Just hate happiness.
I was not expecting this from Asa.
You'd be a Slytherin.
I was not
I
expecting.
don't know what that
this.
means. But
Oh, and I've seen them all, Gaz. I know exactly what that means. It means stuff. I don't know.
You've
what that
watched
means.
the
I can't
movies.
remember.
You've watched through the series.
I'd be one of the other 2 houses that nobody can remember the names of apart from the real nerds. Do you remember their names, Gaz?
Ravenclaw.
Ah, loser.
Gryffindor.
Nerd. No.
These guys will be playing the game before I will. Just you watch.
I got to say, I've never watched the movies. I've never read the books. And I posted on Twitter about Hargeet get me the movies. Of course, I've watched the Lord of the Rings Hobbit movies like several times over, but only in DVD quality. So I'm super excited. But how do I say this? I don't say how old I am. I'm super old. I'm like 90 years old. But when Harry Potter came out, I was much of an adult. Like, I was college age. So basically, it wasn't something that interests me. And I know when they first came out, like 12 to 15-year-olds like really loved it. And I'm like, when you're like a little bit older than that, you're like, nah, that's a kid's thing. Because it was new, I guess. So I have a lot to learn. I watched the I don't know what you call it, the State of Play like extended thing, and I'm kind of with Asa. It looks really good, but you could tell it's a PS4, Xbox One cross-gen.
Yeah, I
right?
thought it looked really good.
Sure.
I thought like
it does look really good, but hey,
cross-gen.
There are tons of games last gen that still look incredible. Like I just think we don't know what next gen looks like. We still don't know what next gen looks like. I mean, look at Gran Turismo 7.
If you play the Matrix demo of Unreal Engine 5, it's gobsmacking. Well, I think we'll talk about another game that's going to be on Unreal Engine 5 announced today.
Yes, it's Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, I think it looks really good. I also thought this Harry Potter game is going to, kind of push people's expectations of what Fable is going to be. I think we have a little bit to talk about with Fable
that's
as well.
Interesting.
I mean, Asa, did you watch like that whole presentation? It was like 15 minutes when they showed the combat and how you kind of square off. Did you watch that part?
Yeah, not with any audio, so I don't know what they were saying about it if they had any voiceover. But I watched it. I saw the.
Asa was like,
yeah, I can't entirely figure out how the combat works. I've seen a lot of people saying that the combat looks really good, and I'm not seeing that perspective because from it looks like there's an awful lot of spells. I don't know how you access the amount of spells, and there's an awful lot of standing still. So the combat, you've got a roll in there, but there's a lot of standing on the spot, casting a massive variety of spells, and I don't know how that translates to a controller yet. So
it could be a lot like Fable, where it's set to the face buttons. Like a certain spell could be on the square X button, or whatever. I don't know, but it reminded me a lot of Fable 3's combat and Fable 2, where the camera kind of sits up a little bit when you're in combat and you're fighting, on all directions. So yeah, it's really interesting to see what Fable is going to do. But
Yeah.
How is this game, Gaz? How's this going to compare to Starfield? Because they're going to launch
Starfield.
probably in the same month.
Oh yeah. Well,
Starfield killer.
Starfield killer. Everyone's coining that term now, and that's what this game is supposed to be. Crazy, and maybe in terms of sales, it might be because ultimately, obviously it's an established IP. It has legions of fans, a lot of casuals, and that's the market you want to really market to. And I know loads of Harry Potter fans, maybe not you two, but even like my age, I know so many people who go to Harry Potter World, and they're talking about it, and they're not necessarily massive gamers as well. So they're like, "Oh, have you seen the new Harry Potter game, Gaz?" I'm like, "Oh, well done, you've finally seen a video game." But at the same time, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of mass appeal there, and the gameplay footage was amazing. Someone in the chat said, "I wish they showed the UI." I hope what we saw was the UI, minimal, stripped only. No shit on. No shalizams on screen. Sorry, Phil Spencer. But
it did look like they completely removed the UI for almost that whole thing, which looks really nice. And they always do that, and then games come out. It's like blah, 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 unless you're Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
Do you know, Harry, how you hurt the bad wizard? Your parents loved you very much, and there's love in your hands, and it hurts bad wizard. Sorry for the spoilers, Colt, but Harry Potter is not the one.
Wow. What do you mean? Disrespect.
That's almost a direct quote from the film.
That sounded really good.
Some stairs. He lived under the stairs. His mum sacrificed her life. You are such a heartless. You're literally Voldemort.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I grew up in the late '90s and early 2000s with all of my, let's say in the early 2000s when my friends and I started having kids, and their kids loved Harry Potter. Like, this is what I've grown up with. So, I guess I'm sort of fortunate because if I end up really loving it, I'm going to have I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a really great experience. And thanks to Hargy, I'm going to have it the best way possible. Atmos, OLED TV, nice couch. I'll pretend Gaz and Asa are sitting next to me, and I'll punch Asa every time he makes fun of the movie. It'll be great. Let me get some super chat.
We'll fly over.
Brigadier Blue goes, Harry Potter living in Fonz's studio. Such a...
The under the stairs closet. Yeah. Fonz is so awesome, man. You two were doing his show yesterday, and it was so great, man. Fonz is amazing. Let me get some super chats in this first one. I think that Kaz can drop the F-bomb, but Koi Cadaver, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. He says, "Happy birthday, boy." Happy birthday,
my God,
boy.
$20, man. Save your money. It's not my birthday, man.
Read it, boy. Hargy Chotty, thank you so much for the $10. He keeps it moving along. He says, "I don't think Take-Two is hurting. They dumped like $13 billion to buy Zynga. That's plenty of microtransaction money to give them revenue. No need to charge for upgrades." He says we should continue shaming them, and then he's got the smiling emoji, so we don't think that he's gonna send them some nasty emails. Oh, is Fonz here? Where's Fonz? There, someone call. Yeah, he put Gaz, photoshopped him onto Harry Potter's body, which is amazing.
Malfoy's face. Come on, man.
No, I don't know who the characters are. What do I look like, Asa? So, I'm really looking forward to that game. I think it's gonna be one of those rare instances where the movie license game gets people excited. It should be
really
good.
Shock people. 15 minutes. So I was saying this on Fonz's show. I was on holiday and I was keeping up on Twitter, and the way the Twitter feed was, I know Asa doesn't like the console war. I swim right in it, so my feed is full of absolute complete bleach drinking morons. But so I was just like, oh wow, PlayStation bought exclusivity for Hogwarts Legacy. What? It's going to kill Starfield? What is going on? I go on holiday for 1 week and I'm reading all this nonsense. But it's not. It's a multi-platform game. They showed it on State of Play. But that's when I knew, okay, hold on. Everyone's getting really hyped for it. And I saw the trailer, and then you think it stops, and then it shows some more stuff. I'm like, oh wow! And then they show the combat, and they're like, oh, and then they show the world, and then they show the alchemy, and then they show you can go on a broom outside of Hogwarts, and then, bro, there's more content there than Halo Infinite will have in 5 years.
Yeah, I was talking to Hargeet quite a bit about it because Dealer and I watched the trailer together, and we both don't know. Dealer's like, I bought the DVDs just in case somebody wants to watch them, because that's how he is. He's hilarious. But Hargeet and I were talking. Hargeet's like, you have to understand, like, all of the things they showed, like the Legion of Doom and the Cloak of Virginity and the basement of virginity. I'm just joking. No, Hargeet was explaining like some of the places where you build spells and the different places that are in the books and movies that have persisted for many iterations. Like, all of that has been paid homage to, and it's kind of hard to explain because I don't know it. But he was naming these locations. Like, fans of this are like, "Wow, they really did it! Like, they nailed it." I was able to put on the ring of forgetfulness, and now it's
forgetfulness.
I'm such a dork because I'm not saying these jokes to say like I'm too cool for nerd. Like, I'm a massive Star Wars fan of most of the Star Wars movies. Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, like, ever since I was little, big time. But, like, I don't know a lot about Star Trek, and I don't know a lot about Harry Potter, and those things are changing. So, this is just pick your nerddom, right? But shout out to Hargeet.
We're all nerds there, let's be honest. None of us could say we're not nerds. Especially Asa with his VR headset. He's the one.
I would love to be, a kid again, because when I was in high school, when I was in like junior high, you got your head slammed into a locker for liking Nintendo, for liking video games. And now I think you walk around, you can wear a Nintendo shirt. People are like, hey, that guy's cool. That guy's boss,
it's
bro.
True. It's true. Yeah, so. I see people with N64 shirts. I think it's cool.
So let's see here. We got The Flame with $5 super chats. This, the quote, support the devs argument is null. AAA devs get paid naturally. The settings, tweaks, and upgrades only line executives' pockets. Stop the madness. He does have a good point, because the developers, if you got Sony Santa Monica, they got paid up front to build the game, and that payment was while they did the work. And then I think they get some bonuses depending on sales, depending on what the deal is with publishers. Yeah. But I guess it really depends on how much work they have to do to get it up to snuff. Kirby Louise, who has been in the chats when I've been in RDX, and he's on Twitter quite a bit. He's really knowledgeable about game development. He's kind of getting into the I think he's going to school to get into the business. He says some games, and Asa might have something to say this, some games you can literally unlock the frame rate in a console version by changing a 0 to a 1 or vice versa. Do you know anything about this, Asa, depending on the engine?
Yeah, you wouldn't want a publisher to release something with that little effort. There are games where you can... I'm sure he's referring to just like VSync, basically. And if a game is artificially locked to a particular frame rate and you've got much better hardware in a new console, yeah, in some cases it'll be pretty easy to get it running. You'd still want that QA'd. You'd still want to throw some money at it.
Sure.
You wouldn't want to like push that out. But there's a massive conflict, because obviously we know that Microsoft are willing to do that work in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. We've seen many examples where Microsoft will very willingly FPS boost a game and up-res a game and make the textures all nicely filtered. And they'll do that on behalf of a developer if that publisher lets them. And
we
Rockstar
just had one.
Will never let them. So.
Yeah, we just had a situation which I didn't think would happen, Asa. Today, Dying Light 1, the 2014 release, zombie game, got a full Series X and S and PS5 patch. But 6 months ago, I think, Xbox gave it FPS boost. And when I talked to Jason Rano, like, they've reached out to the developers to say, hey, can we FPS boost your game? And sometimes they'll say, Asa, no, don't. We want to do something with it. And that could mean we want to do it for the fans, or we want to build it and charge. So don't FPS boost it. But Dying Light 1 is FPS boosted for 6 months. And now it's got a full patch from the developer, which is interesting.
I have to, just a little thing, to clear my name a little. When I was saying about these $10 upgrade fees being okay, I have to say that's not what Rockstar are doing with Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's not actually an example in point. I know that's the game we were talking about, but that's a $40 game. They're charging for the whole game again. They're not actually doing a $10 upgrade.
What are they trying to accomplish, Asa, with the $10 introductory price or $20 if you're on Xbox? What is the mentality?
They're trying to accomplish as much money as they can to capitalize on the hype and yeah, but
what'd you say, Gaz?
I mean,
Drug dealers do that. Hey, go.
Drug dealers are upgrading games all the
Here's it
time.
for free. Boom. There you go. Shark cards.
Drug dealers are like in the corner. You want 60 FPS? Huh? You want 60 FPS?
Here's the dealer there.
But it is a fair question. Like,
he's not drug
if
dealer.
they're setting that price and they're obviously getting the majority of their sales while it's cheap, I mean, they're probably looking for people like me who are like, I don't think I'm going to play that, but I want to get it while it's $10 before it goes up. But you do have to slightly wonder. Yeah, and I guess that answers the question as to why they're doing it. But you have to wonder how long they'll keep it at $40 for, because you can't imagine many people are going to go back and buy that full price when it happens a couple of months down the line.
I made the mistake of buying the trilogy for the Grand Theft Auto trilogy like 5 months ago or whatever, and I feel really embarrassed. And I caught some nice flack from the chat when I admitted that this summer, which, hey, I deserve it. And then I was like, no way I'm buying GTA 5, but I couldn't help that my friend was like playing it, and we imported it. I was like, I can import my character in and we could just play. We've had fun. I got my $20 worth out of it, but dang you, Rockstar. Let me get a couple supers before we move to the next topic. We got RWK88 with the $2 super chat says, "You all right, I guess. Like the show." Hey, RWK like the show. So if you're enjoying it and you think you're having a good time and we're entertaining you and you're going to learn something, I guarantee that you can hit the like button. We got over 200 likes on the show right now. Smash it. Just smash the like button. Just smash the like button like the Elden Ring hands that smashed me with the 9 fingers.
What is that impression?
What, that voice?
Yeah.
I just love it. Just love Elden Ring. It's so good, and there's so many enemies. I love it.
I feel like I need to cover from the split from here.
That's an impression of someone I can't say because I'll get a phone call. It's somebody in my family. I love my family. They're great. I just
related to Crap Gamer? Oh my god.
Yes! Okay. Hey, you guys are amazing. Capono 5150. What a great number he's got after his name. He's with a $5. He says, when you buy a game, that money goes to the publisher, not the developers. The devs already got paid. I am going to 95% agree with that. Guys, do you have any argument against what Capono said there? When you buy a game, where's the money go?
Well, definitely to the publisher, but the publisher are the ones that are paying those developers and paying them for their next projects. So it's not massively clear-cut in that sense. It's not that you're not... I mean, you are supporting the developers by buying their games, because if their game flops, you'll get Square Enix saying, this didn't meet our expectations again, and just cutting people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Square Enix has thrown some of their really good games under the bus lately. Man, and then look at Guardians of the Galaxy on Game Pass. I see you, Fonz. I'm not talking about who you think I'm talking about. I see you, dude. We'll talk about it later. It's pretty funny. I'll tell you why. Okay. Yeah, it's like, here we go. Biff Rindali says, all day for the $2 super chat. So next, we got to talk about Bethesda's been trending for like the past 2 weeks, partially because of Starfield, but the reviews came out today for Tango Gameworks, Ghostwire Tokyo. This is the same team that made the Evil Within games. Asa, are you interested in that? That's basically what the game looks like to me.
That was like an expert display of Kung Fu. I'm not sure. Are we going back to Sifu?
Well, he's doing hand projectile stuff.
I know, you're magical. I can see the magic. I actually am really interested in that one. So, because I like that studio, I liked the Evil Within games, particularly the first one more so than the second. And Ghostwire Tokyo looks really interesting to me. It's coming out. Games are relentless at the moment. Like, you'd think this is a quiet time of year, and it's fairly quiet for news, but there is so much that I want to play, and that's on the list along with there's Triangle Strategy for an actual Nintendo Switch game that I want to play. These two are really high on my I reckon I'll really enjoy these games. How am I going to get time to play them?
I know.
But I am very interested in Ghostwire Tokyo, yeah.
There's been the whole no games thing like for a while. Like even with the Xbox guys said the PlayStation guys had nothing for 8 months, but like when it rains, it pours, and PlayStation's just put out 3 exclusive games in the past month. I was interested in Ghostwire Tokyo because it's hard to explain, but there's some characters in games like, I know you'll laugh at me, but like Battleborn and Overwatch have characters that shoot out of their hands like this. And that first person animation is so satisfying to watch for me. I don't know what it is.
I know what you mean.
But
so you
know
were
what
the
I
other
mean,
person
guys.
that played Battleborn. We just needed to get the
it's
times
so
right
weird.
for the
I hated
matchmaking.
the
Better
game.
than Overwatch.
I hated the game Battleborn, and then when it was dying, my friends and I got into it, and I really loved the animation and art style. Let me pause that. I got to give a shout out to Delilah HD, who showed up in the chat, who just said supporting the show with a $10 super chat. She is so awesome. Got to meet her 3 years ago at E3. We hung out at a bar after the show, and she's so cool. I got to get her on the show. She's so awesome. So shout out to her. Gaz, I got to ask you about Ghostwire Tokyo because the reviews are, I don't know. Talk to us about the reviews.
Well, I really I guess I am still looking forward to the show. And I like the finger blasting in the game, or the concept behind it. Tango, like, I see some console fanboys go, "Oh, look, this is the Bethesda quality," not just completely forgetting the other game that's been exclusive on PlayStation. That's Deathloop for Bethesda quality. I mean, this game looks good, but there's so many games. I'll be honest with you. This is the mindset I had. Would I pay full price for this, knowing that the reviews are like this? I want to play it, and I don't always just like you say, Colt. You don't just use Metacritic to decide whether or not you want to buy a game. You look at your favorite reviewer, you look at some online footage or gameplay, and then some nudes. There you go. You did 3. You actually didn't even.
Somebody's like, clipped.
And I was just watching your fingers. I was like, okay.
I get to say anything. Like a friend, right? Would be number 3.
Yeah, friend. So let's see what your friends say if they have similar tastes. Unlike Zorko, who has crap taste in games. But
that's how you know which games to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. He loved Second Extinction.
Like Fonz. If Fonz likes it, I'm guaranteed
the game is
to like
amazing.
it. Yeah,
he doesn't like anything. I'm just kidding, Fonz. No, but the immediate thought for me was, look, I've got so many good games to play, Elden Ring, all that. This is a Microsoft first-party studio game now. Should I play this if I run out of my backlog never happening, or should I wait for it on Game Pass? Because eventually it will come there. So that's a genuine conversation I'm having with myself. But I mean, in terms of reviews, there are mixed. There was also this debate about what constitutes a review. Someone said, "Is 4E means it's broken? Is it broken?" And I don't agree with that view at all. I don't know where that comes from, but yeah, generally I haven't played it. I will play it, but I think that kind of score, generally my views align with the reviewers, so I think Game Pass will probably be the best way for me to experience this without spending my money, but you never know, man. If I get rid of Elden Ring and Harry Potter or Starfield and Redfall and all these games, unlikely, then I will buy this game. But yeah, it looks good. I'm not that kind of person to tell people what to do, man. I hate those people. So to know, do what you want or don't do what you want.
I'm going to put a poll up. I'll multitask here. It's almost ready to send. And I'll kind of preface it, I guess. I have to admit that when I use Metacritic as one of my resources for games, but I have a mental... I was talking to Underachiever today on the phone about this. I have a mental number. I'm going to hit this right now. That if a game lands at a certain number on Metacritic, it dissuades me from a day one purchase at full price.
Okay.
So
yeah, I know what you mean. Same.
And so I feel like when I see something, it's kind of different with Ghostwire Tokyo because we know if you're playing on Xbox, you're like, well, if I don't need to play it right now, I can wait a year and I'll get it on where I want it, or I'll get it in Game Pass. But when I see a 75 or 72, sometimes I'm like, I'm not quite sure if I want to buy it right away. Maybe I'll wait. And like ACG gave this one wait for a deep sale. So I'm curious. I'm asking the chat, and you guys can vote as well. Is there a number on Metacritic where you kind of emotionally in your mind think, if it's under this number, I'm pretty sure I won't buy it day one? There are exceptions. Like when Dead Island 2 comes out, it could be a 61, and I'm still going to buy it day one because I love that dorky, idiotic game if it ever comes out. But I'm curious to see. Asa, what's your vote? I don't know if you care about this.
I mean, like, no disrespect to Metacritic as a resource, but I don't even check it, honestly.
Nice.
We're so different, you and I. We're so different. That's why we need you, because I'm a toxic
That's
piece.
That's what makes you guys so good together on your show.
Good. He's the brains. I'm the sauce.
I have an awareness of like where the reviews are sitting. We run a news aggregate site, so of course I do. Like we see reviews coming through, and I have an awareness of where they are, but I never go to Metacritic to get that hard number. And
that's the first thing I do, because I'm just a basic.
Because you need to load the LMG.
Yeah.
Gaz, what's your threshold number where you're like, nope, not buying it?
I mean, like you said, there has to be exceptions. There will be exceptions to the game. I don't care what reviews say, but I do share your view. I would say anything under 80. Then, day one games, like someone in the chat says, they don't really always buy games day one, but I think 80. Anything under 80, and I'm like, all right, well, I can wait for that game. But that's subject to reading the reviews, because often, I've seen 90 plus Metal Gear Solid 5 overrated as hell, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, so like, it depends. But there is a mental block. It's just under 80 for me.
Black Rider, be nice. Calling us names. He said he never heard of Metacritic and tell us. I don't know. Hey, chat, did you like get ready to buy Elden Ring because you couldn't resist that plus 90 Metacritic? I know that's the way people were talking about it. I couldn't help it. And everyone was talking. The scores were astronomical. And it's like you just find your credit card going, swipe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's just like... what's Desmond saying? The Metacritic score of Elden Ring, I can tell you, loads of people got caught up in the hype. Loads of people. The same people who, one, haven't played Soulsborne games, and two, always say, don't listen to Metacritic. I know people, I could put them to shame right now, went and bought Elden Ring because it's sitting at 97 Metacritic. That's why they bought it. And not saying everyone, but people do. Metacritic does have... my friend Julian, like the guy who voiced Luigi, I mean, he knows about Metacritic. I said to him, Elden Ring? He doesn't know what it is. I said, it's a 97 on Metacritic. And he's like, oh, damn, that's crazy. I'm going to have to check it out.
That's a massive outlier, though, isn't it? That's not to say that those people are, like, guided by Metacritic in all things. If you've got an exceptional case like Elden Ring, news travels more than, like, Ghostwire Tokyo, where I'm not going to look at Metacritic. I'm aware of what Elden Ring got. I've got no idea what Ghostwire Tokyo got until we started talking about it here.
AC, do you think most people they're aware of a score because they saw this outlet gave it a 9 out of 10? Like, maybe that's the majority. People are like, well, I know that IGN site gave it a 9 out of 10, so it must be pretty good. Like, I just don't know if everyone's
definitely have
aware.
their favorite size. It's actually don't really know who has what power in that space, because obviously word of mouth and social media has changed that entirely from the days of paper magazines.
Definitely.
You're right.
Definitely.
And I've always had kind of for the last at least decade or so, I've always felt that single player games, you don't need to buy at full price, really. There's that fear of missing out, and people talk about it a lot, but a single player game doesn't get worse over time. If anything, it gets better as they fix things. Whereas a multiplayer game is a bit different because you have to catch the bubble on a multiplayer game. Everyone wants to run at the same
time, right? Like, everyone wants to play the game when everyone else is playing it, and if you're not first, you're last, even though it can, like you said, you can experience it anytime. Hey, if you guys are having a good time, this is the XNC Podcast. I'm here with the GameOn Daily guys from GoLive Podcast and their GameOn Daily website and YouTube channel. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Hit the like button. Let's get up to 500 likes if you guys are having a good time. We're going to talk about some of these new studios and some problems within studios and where games and why they're being delayed in just a moment. I've got a couple super chats. For Havoc with the $5 says, have you all talked about Microsoft taking PlayStation only game away already? That being Twitter. Oh, that took a minute. Yes, that is actually on our topic list. He's that's kind of alluding to the game DVR. We're going to get in that in a minute. And Risk It for the Biscuit. I talked to Risk It last night. It was like midnight here, and it was like in the morning for him, or afternoon in Australia the next day in the future. He's amazing. We were playing Elden Ring. He says, People's Rise of Sun and Rome was 60 on Metacritic. WTF. I liked Rise of Sun and Rome. I don't love it, but I liked it. But was 62 harsh, you guys?
Rise, maybe we'll talk about Forza later as well. Rise came out at the launch of the Xbox One, so everything in that time was scored harshly. What is that, Gaz? It's like an ice lolly. It's exactly what you need.
What?
Which end are you sticking it?
What?
It's not an ice lolly.
Ice lolly?
What do you mean? You don't know what an ice lolly? Oh my!
Is that what UK people call a popsicle?
Popsicle. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I want to move to the UK. Let's have an ice lolly. It's great. Just love it. Love those ice lollies.
That was you guys. He's doing you there.
Stop doing me.
Let's have the spicy noodles right before the show goes. Looks like I'm wearing lipstick. That's Gaz. No, that's not what Gaz sounds like. Yeah, Rise is pretty good. Man, Rise is so close to being so much better, but
right. So I actually played Rise like within the last year or so, and it's really good up until the point that Marius goes back to Rome. So if you remember that game at all, if you play it again, it's really like distinct. Like it's good. You're going back to Rome. What's happened? It just falls off.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I actually played it when the 1X came out, so I played it the fall of 2017, and it never got enhanced. But yeah, it's such a great game. Great game. Ice
It
lolly.
deserved a reasonable score for being so massively technically impressive in that time. But
well, I mean,
for me,
there was like 3 enemy faces that they modeled. You know, there was the chubby guy with the beard, and I can't remember. Like, there's like 3 enemy types that you just continually fought over and over on the battlefield. But what a great game!
went to-
do so much
through
more.
almost every game. To be fair,
I went to a press event.
Shut up.
I went to. I just.
Well, this
spilled
ice
everywhere.
lolly is so good.
I went to a press event where Crytek were, and there was a Crytek representative there, a Gamescom, and I was playing the game. Finally, we kind of blagged as press, and my mate goes, I didn't realize the guy was standing behind me. He goes, my mate goes, how's the game? I goes, the guy just looked at me and just like, he just did like a funny sad face, like. I felt so bad. I still feel bad to this day.
You should correct yourself. I mean, it is the.
And he gave me a free Rise t-shirt as well, which one of my ex-girlfriends took. Bastard. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Sorry. Just family show.
There are some games that are in the 60s that I really like. Crackdown 3. I think it should have been a 70, not a 60, but who cares? Look at Asa. He's in the spiritual bliss of not even worrying about Metacritic.
No, I'm worried about people going on about ice lollies now. Don't care about Metacritic, but I feel attacked on that. Like, yes, they're ice lollies.
Ice Lollies is Gaz's online screen name. So, yeah, hey, Lord Starkiller has been a member of the channel for 17 months with the new Cortana icon. Says, having a great time with Elden Ring, level 63, and just beat my first dragon. Definitely game of the year. And as Zocker would say, you've only just scratched the surface, peasant. But yeah, you've got a long ways
about
to go.
that game, man. He puts me off Elden Ring so much. If his girlfriend heard him talk about Elden Ring, he'd definitely be cheating on her over that video game. He loves that game so much.
She walks in the room. He's like, "I love you, baby." She's like, "Me?" Playing the game. Yeah, he freaking loves it. Yeah. Zocker's hilarious. RWK, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, Cole, aka Ricky Bobby, from now on. Yeah, you know, I'll do that. The Mountain Dew, I'll be Ricky Bobby. But we got Ghostwire Tokyo, it'll come to Game Pass. I think it's maybe you should wait. Well, that's all right. But is it a testament to what Bethesda can do? It's a real question. But people are getting stoked about this new announcement. CD Projekt Red reeling from their Cyberpunk 2-year fiasco of crazy delays and a bad launch and a late patch. They are promising to bring Witcher back in Unreal Engine 5 instead of the Red Engine. Asa, what do you know about this? Have you dove into their engine and what the possibility could be for this?
For me, it's really obvious why they'd be doing such a thing. You only need to look at Cyberpunk. And I'm not talking about the end result, what the game looks like and what the engine is capable of. That game had many years development hell, many delays, and came out problematic. So no matter, regardless of what the Red Engine was capable of, and Cyberpunk can push boundaries, it's going to be a benchmark game for years to come, because it's quite phenomenal in many senses. But if development didn't go well, then it makes sense to look for an established engine with smooth workflows and translate their kind of work environment over to it. So I'm not surprised at all that they're doing it. I saw Alex from Digital Foundry was disappointed about the convergence of tech and would rather they stuck with what they had. And I appreciate that angle.
He said that Cyberpunk is one of the best looking open worlds he's ever seen. And I thought...
Alex Battaglia said that.
I love Alex Battaglia, but I just didn't...
Go Specsavers.
I love Cyberpunk as well. I just don't think Cyberpunk's Night City is one of the best looking worlds we played in, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, maybe he's right. He knows more.
Well, Gaz, what happens with CD Projekt Red working in a totally different engine than what they've been working on for a while? Is that going to be like a huge stumbling block?
I think it's great news. I think it's great news because they failed to do their failure with Cyberpunk is a big one, and Unreal Engine 5, just the proficiency of that engine based on what we played, it could hopefully, theoretically, Ace is the man to ask about this, but streamline that process, tools shared amongst a multitude of different studios. They can have loads of knowledge pool to tap into instead of trying to do it themselves. Cyberpunk is a startling example of that. I kind of get what Alex Battaglia is talking about there. That let them try it, but what this also signifies: CD Projekt Red are in CDPR are in critical form. They announced this for a reason. They need this Witcher game. Cyberpunk, in my opinion, is a flop. It's failed. And it's failed to such a tremendous degree that there's so much pressure on CD Projekt Red now that their next game is make or break. That's why they've gone back to The Witcher, and they're using Unreal Engine 5. And I think the game, Unreal Engine 5 looks amazing. This is from a layman. This is not Acer level tech sorcery. But generally, like for a layman like me, I'm very excited about the prospect of Witcher, the next Witcher game. I haven't even completed Witcher 3. So big. But I will definitely go. As soon as I saw that on Unreal Engine 5, I'm just going to complete Witcher 3. Just going to take some time off work and just blitz through that, because just the prospect of this game on Unreal Engine 5, it's going to be amazing. I always thought the engines were a little bit clunky. First person, don't say that. No.
Hey, so what can you tell us about this team working in Unreal Engine 5? What's your speculation, or what do you think they're up against?
For me, the whole advantage for it is that they may actually be able to finish this game and release it in working order. It's not that I really don't think that the end product necessarily looks better than they could have done on the Red Engine. And Cyberpunk, if you look at it at its best, which nobody can, you can't run that game at its best right now. Don't care what hardware you've got. And I've tried it on a 3090. You cannot run it at its best right now. The engine is capable of beautiful things, and it is, and The Witcher could have been beautiful on it. But it was development hell, and they have to fix that. They can't have another game where they struggle, and we don't know what the problems were, but conceptually, Cyberpunk should have been easy for that studio.
And it just doesn't seem like the same engine or the same team when I play those two games. Witcher's amazing. Even just the Xbox One X patched version on the Series X looks incredible, and they're supposed to patch it soon for the Series X, but it already looks amazing at I think it runs at 1440p to 4K 60. on the Series X. So yeah, interesting.
So
yeah, people are super excited. I think that's where they
touch on it,
shine.
because I just want to quickly say, because For Havoc in chat there is saying that he believes it's the suits that ruined Cyberpunk. To a degree, yes, the suits definitely mishandled it. The marketing was terrible. The way that it released was terrible. But like I was just saying, the pitch for Cyberpunk should have been so easy. Those suits at one point in time said, make a game like The Witcher 3 in a Cyberpunk setting. And it sells itself when it's obvious. And they should have been able to get that team and make that project and deliver it on time. And then the suits wouldn't have had that conundrum. They wouldn't have had the opportunity to make the missteps that they did, because the game would have been good and everything would have been a completely different story. Mm-hmm. And that's why they need Unreal Engine 5, because development cannot go that way again.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of Unreal Engine 5 in the next year or two. Xbox's, most of their games are being built in Unreal Engine 5, but the next big one is not in Unreal Engine 5. It is in an overhauled Creation Engine 2. This is Bethesda's Starfield, which means take Fallout 4 and think about the evolutionary jump from Skyrim to Fallout 4, and then from Fallout 4, that evolutionary jump to Starfield. We still have yet to see gameplay, but just last week they sat down again in a little round table and talked about how big and the factions and the immersion. Gaz, have you dived into the Starfield, like, idiosyncrasies of what they're talking about, because they've yet to show gameplay?
I have dived into that round table, and it was.
This is why we call him a div. He does it all the time.
He's such a muppet. I have. Starfield is. Oh shit! Sorry.
What?
His poster fell live on air on the back. You just missed it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. Sorry, family and kids.
We have 3-year-olds watching. No.
It's late. Well, they're not watching it. Phil Spencer, forgive me. Starfield. Starfield looks amazing. Starfield, not the game, the concept behind it, because I haven't seen the game. But a lot of people are complaining about this. I talked to this on Forza Release show, and both of us are really excited, because when what they exude is confidence. What they say sounds amazing, and it doesn't sound like it's far-fetched. You know, you get marketing spiel, but it does literally sound like four guys actually having a conversation about. I'm sure there's some planning and curating what they were saying. Oh, absolutely. But think about what they're saying. Like photogrammetry. What's the word, Asa?
That was a word, yeah.
That's the word. Oh, I can't repeat that again.
I don't know what you're saying.
Photogrammetry. In NPCs.
I can learn,
mama. That kind of detail, the NPCs kind of talking to you about things you've done in the world, like, you wiped out that colony, you're a horrible person, or things like that. It sounds like a living, breathing world. Then you've got all these factions. Then they talk about, I'm still a bit confused about that. I don't know what this means. Both of you gents could actually tell me that. I've 3 shows in and I still don't understand. But they were saying
3 shows in.
Yeah, I know. Like they said they want to bring back these kind of stats or different systems from older RPGs that have been. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Like,
I know Asa might be able to help me more, but they reference the old Oblivion. Like, Oblivion was really, really deep and detailed, and there was multiple trees of different things you could do, and quests were really multi-tiered and multi-branched. So I think they're kind of alluding to that. But I haven't played Oblivion. That was like outside of that was in my sabbatical. I don't know if you know about this, Asa. Have you played Oblivion or dabbled?
I have experience of Oblivion, and my main memory of it and its systems is that it melted 2 of my Xbox 360s. So,
oh wow!
If they're alluding to bringing back the Red Ring of Death, please don't do it, Bethesda. Rather not. I honestly don't know specifically which systems they're referring to. They're planning to bring back.
You're right, guys. Like when they're talking, they're not saying anything that sounds like far-fetched. They're pitching you a dream. Like they're talking about what they've actually put into the game. I feel like if you're paying attention to Starfield, it's going to be more like Skyrim than Fallout. So it's really about RPG building, and some of the things. Fallout 4 is huge. I loved it. I played it through twice, but it's sort of limiting in its scope and the way it works. But like this massive RPG that you normally see in a Dungeons and Dragons fantasy realm is going to be translated to like they call NASA punk, SpaceX,
NASA
Elon
punk,
Musk. Yeah, where it's grounded in what they think is going to be the future in 100 years. But also
that's what
a dash of like, because like when you play Skyrim, you can feel the things that are grounded in reality along with the huge dragons and the magical spells, right? And then it kind of makes you feel like you could really be in this world. And I think with Starfield, people are really getting stoked. The big problem is there's been no gameplay. Asa, why have they not shown gameplay? Not even a tease.
I don't mind that at all. There's an issue in the industry in general with announcing games too early. Perfect Dark being prime example. Bethesda don't do that. They're actually quite good at handling pre-release information, and they've given us enough to be interested in. I don't mind waiting for gameplay. Obviously, I want to see the game. I want to play it, but November is still quite a long way away. And if they want to build marketing hype by showing me the game nearer the time, I'm happy for that. Do you know, Oblivion, the one thing that I remember about it before it melted 2 of my Xbox 360s, I never finished it because it literally killed 2 of my Xbox 360s, and I didn't want the third one to die, so I parked that game. But what I remember about it specifically is it was very, very short and wide. So you came out of this first dungeon, and if you chose to, you could walk to the end boss within like 5 minutes. You'd get slaughtered, but the final portal, like, it was all there, and everything else you did at your own pace. It was entirely optional. It was a very wide game. So yeah, lots of stats, lots of things like that. I'm like a masochist, so I like the option to randomly kill everyone like you can in the Outer Worlds.
Yes.
Oblivion had a lot of that in there, a lot of freedom. So if Starfield is pushing those angles, good.
Yeah, and Outer Worlds.
They are
kill
the
everyone.
space pirates. They talked about that. They said you can play
No
as a
one's going to
space
talk
pirate.
about what I did on my adventures because they'll all be dead.
I mean, you share that.
Yeah,
Then.
tell the audience, Gaz, about the double agent space pirate stuff. Like, that's pretty cool.
So it sounds like the scope of this game is because they talked about multiple decisions and having meaningful impacts in the game, and then they gave an example of, for instance, playing the multiple factions, and you can play as the space pirate, but instead of playing the bad guy, although I will play the bad guy. If you play the bad guy as a space pirate, you could also not necessarily have to be relegated to being the bad guy. You could be a snitch. Why would you want to be that? But you can be and play as a double agent and report to whoever the authorities are. Snitches get stitches. But if you do play that, you can do that. And it sounds like but you have to, even if it's Todd Howard and it's Bethesda, I got burnt by this so badly with Cyberpunk that said it so convincingly that this would be some game-changing thing that I have to be a little bit wary. Otherwise, it's just like Stockholm syndrome is sitting. But if anyone pulls it off, it's these guys. And yeah, that kind of system is amazing. Now take Starfield and turn it into an MMORPG, and I am in love. I will actually quit my job.
Oh gosh, you just bumped into something I was gonna say. You just crashed your shopping cart into what I was gonna say and knocked down all the juices in the aisle. Gaz, you I love it. I was gonna say, somebody in the chat was saying that Starfield is gonna be a car crash, and it's funny because people are so funny how it's really a shallow take, right? To say, I looked at Fallout 76 and the way people complained about it for the first year, and now I think that Bethesda Softworks can never succeed again. And if we had that same attitude, Nintendo would have been in the garbage during the Wii U era, right? So we've seen so many times where a studio or a platform makes a mistake and turns around and hits a home run or kicks it through the uprights, for you Australian people of Aussie Rules Football, which I've been learning about thanks to Ashtray Gaming. Shout out to him. I mean, there's people that can be so shallow about this. When I ask my friends about Fallout 76, a game I don't like, and and Todd Howard's all but apologized for. Yeah, they say Fallout 76 is amazing right now. I still don't care, but Starfield is a single player game where you play, you build your character, you are immersed in the world. You're not in party chat. You're not running around with other randoms coming in like Bloody Finger Lisa and Elden Ring and ruining your game, which happened to me. But this is a big deal. And if you look at Fallout 76, or here's another thing people do, Asa, they say it's going to be another Cyberpunk, or it's going to be another. It's like these are different developers. Like Gaz and I said about 10 minutes ago, Starfield is a big deal. This is something they've worked on for 6 years, and the extra year owing, just like every other game, to the global pandemic. Every game, I would say almost every game, guys, has seen a 1 year delay, either behind the scenes or on a full out release date because of work from home initiatives. So 6 years in, this game is coming out. It's going to be a big deal. People are going to get lost, build their character. There's melee, there's firearm builds, you get to build up your ship. You're going to go to different factions and different breathing worlds like you do in a Star Wars movie where they land on a planet and it looks like it's established. Like, this is going to be a thing. It's not No Man's Sky, right? It's not No Man's Sky where you fly to a random planet. It's procedurally generated, like dinosaurs going like it's not the same thing.
You make me want to play No Man's Sky.
I've played No Man's Sky. I've got like 10, 15 hours into it. Not even the same type of game. Like, I always hear people say it's another No Man's Sky. It's another Fallout 76. Please do yourself a favor. Do your homework. Dive into what they've said. Dive into what Bethesda Softworks has provided. I'm doing you a favor because come November 22nd, I think it is, it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited. So, Gaz, say I love it.
I love it.
Absolutely says I'm looking wild. Like, I'm going crazy, right? I should start pulling my hair out this way. But I've talked about this a lot. I've got a few videos about Starfield. It's just interesting the way people react in the comment section. You could tell when people aren't, I'll just dive in the sauce. People aren't enjoying the hobby if their first reaction is to gripe and gatekeep people away from enjoying something that they're really excited about. But this actually has a lot of promise.
Starfield's going to be a car crash, though. Like, of course it is. It's a Bethesda game. It's going to be a beautiful car crash where everyone lands on their feet and gets given snacks and finds love. But like, they're known as Bugfesda for a reason. Like, of course things are going to go wrong. It's it's a big game with interlocking systems.
I agree with that. And I think back of my playthroughs of Bethesda software games when I played Skyrim. I remember glitches or bugs, but I didn't have anything that ruined the experience. Every once in a while, you'd message your friends, say, I did this in Skyrim, and my character flipped across, the village, and it was hilarious. And then I respawned and from my last quick save, and I just went on my way. But I don't know. I think some people forget lots of games have issues. I hope it seems like they've taken this extra year because it seems like they wanted to put this game out last year, but they just gave themselves a date they liked, which was around when Skyrim was around that time of the year, and hopefully it's way more polished. Gaz, do you think they'll be able to deliver a more smooth experience?
No. They have that pedigree for a reason. If they're shooting for the stars, then naturally with the scope comes the possibility of more bugs. They, like Asa says, lots of interlocking systems in their games. If they're going for the blue sky, then really I do expect there to be bugs because they really push the envelope. That how bad they are, I don't know. Maybe they're better comparatively to their older games, so we won't have something worthy of the Bethesda label this time around. But ultimately, I don't want it to be buggy, but I'm driven and excited by their passion for this game and really moving things forward. I think me and you, Asa, remember Asa, in our show we talked about games changing things, taking more risks. I think this is the one, Cole, that this is what Starfield represents, like a lot like Elden Ring in many ways, but they're pushing the envelope here. So hopefully not too many bugs, but I'm just excited for what the game is trying to achieve, or will be trying.
Yeah, I mean, like you both said, this is a very wide game. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen. I've always thought of, I would say, I said this, but it's not because Bethesda belongs to Xbox. I think I've said this for like a decade, that I've always known that there were problems with Bethesda games, but they seem to do a lot more than most games. And who was this in the chat? I just gave him props for what he said, and I scroll up. Smooth of 727 said it's not really hard. He says for a game to not have issues. Like, look at Elden Ring; it was dang near flawless when it came out. And like, there are games that come out really well, but there are things that you can do so many different things in a Bethesda game. So there's a lot of things to go wrong, which is also why open world games have the weirdest bugs. Because there's so many mechanics and things going on that can go wrong. Hey, if you're having a good time on the show, we got well over 750 people watching the X&C podcast. If you're having a good time, you can minimize the chat for just a second, hit the like button. It shows major support, and it tells YouTube that this show is worth having guys like Gaz and Asa on, who are amazing. But you guys are great. The chat's adding so much to the discourse, and I really appreciate that. You guys are doing an amazing job. If you want to check out the show after the fact, if you dipped in and dipped out and you want to listen to the whole thing, it's on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts and Pocket Podcasts, and it's on like 7 platforms. I can't name them all, but it's very cool. Put in the earbuds and go mow your frosty lawn if it's still wintertime while you're listening to the show. But you guys are amazing. Lord Starkiller has a question for the panel. Thanks to you so much for the $10 super, Lord Starkiller. He says, question for the panel: will there be Starfield gameplay at or before E3?
At E3.
Yeah, I see. I say at. What do you about it? You, I say you think they're gonna tease
Serious
something before?
question. There is no E3.
Actually, there is. Well, Xbox is still considering their June showcase an E3 showcase. They won't call it that, but E3
so I'm going to say not at E3 then, and I'll be right on a technicality either way. It's not going to be at E3.
Ace is the guy in Price is Right that adds the $1 to his to his thing. We got a Jedi Knight Peter, Australian. Thank you, so Australian $10. He's amazing. I talked to him last night with Riskit. We were just chilling, talking about what could be and what couldn't be. Some stuff we're going to talk about on the show. He says, spicy question for you, Colt. Do you think Elden Ring is too long, especially when considering the negativity around Dying Light 2 when they said there's 500 hours? I think I put 40 hours some in Dying Light 2 and I felt satisfied, but too long.
Not Elden Ring.
No, I don't think so.
Elden Ring is amazing because of the breadth of content. Like, the world astounds you. It's not like Dying Light, where it's literally, or any kind of game of that ilk, where you feel like it's copy and paste checklists and those kind of tasks being regurgitated. Elden Ring is a world, feels like it's sculpted, made for discovery. So no, I don't think it's too long at all. And so its breadth and length is kind of almost admirable compared to other games.
It doesn't really lead you to the next area either. And I think when Jedi says, is it too long? For me, I do a lot of meandering and waste a lot of time trying to figure out what to do next, or I'm not ready for an area. So I run around a field like the guy in Monty Python, where I just run by on a horse and slice somebody's head off. Like, I do that over and over because I go to an area. I'm like, no, I'm going to die here. No, I'm going to die there. And you just have to, at one point, you just have to let it go and say, runes will be lost. Ace, how much time do you have in Elden Ring? You've dabbled.
Not enough. I've dabbled, and in terms of how long it is, I know that it's massive. I've not got that far in it. I'm level 24-ish, I think. And definitely need to play more. But I'm a big believer that there isn't a singular correct length for a game or a singular correct price for a game. And Elden Ring being long isn't a problem. That's the game, and it's great value for it, and it's fun, and it's not unnecessarily padded to hit a price point as so many games are. If you give me a game that feels like it's long because they wanted to justify their $70, then I'll tell you that's too long and too expensive if it feels like it. Elden Ring does not feel like that to me so far. Obviously, I'm not that far into it, so maybe I'll go along and go, this is really dragging. They put this in there for the sake of it. I fought that same boss 3 times or whatever else, but I don't get that impression from what I've seen.
Yeah, and I don't know if I really approach it that way either, Asa, because I paid $50 for Shadow Warrior 3, and I think it was like a 7-hour campaign and quite difficult in some spots, but I burned through it in 2 or 3 days. And I finished it, and I go, I think I was only 7 hours, but I definitely feel like I got my $50 worth. I had a great time with it. Maybe that's how I look at it. But like Elden Ring, Gaz and I game share on Xbox, and he bought that one, and I thought if I paid $60 for it, 20 some hours into it, with frustration and some of the enjoyment, I feel like it was worth that money. Gaz just needs to play it more, I suppose, but yeah,
it's worth it. Thanks to you playing it.
It is great, and the music is so scary and so nice at times. It reminds me of what the magic that Skyrim has. So that music in Starfield's gonna be great. But we're
like
kind of done.
Stop talking about Elden Ring.
yeah, I was talking about Starfield. I love it. It's just great. But shout out to Fonz Really Game with a $5 super chat. Fonz, don't you ever send me money? I'm going to send him another $5 for that one. But he says, I love Bethesda, but I'll never forgive them for horse armor. I slightly remember this. This must be a Skyrim reference where you had to.
Is it Elden or Oblivion?
Oblivion, yeah.
Oblivion?
That's the other thing it was known for. It killed 2 of my Xboxes. It was also basically the forerunner for microtransactions.
Oh, okay.
The pioneer of that whole concept was Oblivion.
Wow, way back
at
then.
least in the console space. It was the first one. They sold cosmetic armor for your stallion.
And it was £5, wasn't it?
I
remember. £5
I can't remember
for
the
that
price.
armor.
I was astute enough at the time to go, hell no.
yeah, everyone said that.
Sorry,
Why are you
Fonz.
taking the piss? Well, part
How
of
much
this
to
was
put
a
horse armor on gas?
Huh?
What'd you say?
What?
I said how much to put horse armor on gas?
You can't afford me.
Hey, repping the 10. Yeah, he's awesome. His icon. I'm a fan of his icon. I drew that thing like 3 or 4 years ago. But he says, "Happy birthday, Gaz." Love the show, Colt. As Gaz yells.
Yeah.
Rick Payne says, what level are you in Elden Ring? We're trying to get out of this. I can't say. I had a good friend of mine kind of help me out, kind of give me a little boost. And as funny as it is, I'm in no competition. I'm not going to go on Twitter and flex my muscles about how great I'm doing in Elden Ring, but it has helped me have more fun with the game. And so I don't know. I'm a loser. What can I say? KY Bob with the $10 super chat says, hey guys, been listening. Of course, KY Bob's awesome. Thought I'd say, quote, Starfield will show us whether or not Fallout 76 was a fluke caused by a ZeniMax push, which I kind of think it is. He says, great show, everyone out there. Please be excellent to one another. KY Bob is such a nice dude. We've been hanging out for a couple of years now. Since Stay Decay, I think. He's amazing. For Havoc with the $2 super says, horse armor, let it go, bro.
Fonz will never let anything go. Come on.
Yep.
I have to say, I've been playing Gran Turismo 7 and I cannot forgive horse armor for the state of that game.
Okay. Well, wow. Asa has just tried to segue us into Gran Turismo 7 talk. Hold that thought, because somebody in the chat says Xbox influencers are not talking about Tunic. Tunic just dropped. Oh yeah, I think they gave us 2 weeks notice. Tunic is ready to go, and then they threw it on Game Pass. I've been playing it. It's like Death's Door. It's like Elden Ring, which shall not be named again. Cool little game. What's going on here? Did I hit pause on my screen? Okay, I'm good. Have you guys tried Tunic, the little Legend of Zelda Fox character? Have you played this? You frauds?
I haven't, but I'm downloading it.
I have.
It looks good.
You go first, Colt. Tell me about Tunic. Have you played it? Do you like it? Your face.
I was trying to do that face for Gaz.
Stuck.
Yeah, Dealer and I were playing it in a party chat. I've got a few hours into it. It's brutally difficult. You can only dodge out of the way and hit. So it's like hit and roll. It's sort of like you drop your runes when you die, you drop your coins, but instead of dropping all of your coins, you drop a portion of them, like a quarter of them or something. So if I had 300 coins on me, I'll drop less than 100, and those coins are used at a shop to make your character less dieable. Is that a word? Dianus, less dietability. Yeah, you can buy like potions.
Ned Flanders
and
had a brain
bombs.
aneurysm.
Yeah, I'm like, I just freeze. No, I'm just messing around. It makes your character more affordable. Like, I don't know what the word is to think of, but you can buy potions, and then it's kind of like the potions in the game that should not be named, that starts with an E and ends with Elden Ring. So cool little game and getting pretty decent reviews. Yeah, let's talk about the Metacritic on Tunic.
It's good. It's like a high 80s. It's dropped out of nowhere while I was on a holiday. It looked beautiful. We talked about it very briefly in some of these shows, and the art style was great. But I think a big not concern, but one of the things we kind of look at is like, it looks great, but the art style is a bit too cutesy. Will it be really our jam? Turns out the game is quite challenging, and that's kind of adds credence to, for us anyway, to play that game, because it's beautiful. It's like an LSD trip. Like, it looks amazing. And I haven't had a chance.
Really nice too.
Is it? Oh, so I love audio, good audio. And
yeah, games. It's got really nice, like, really smooth, like, ethereal music, and it's got some of that charm that Death's Door. Like, Death's Door is like really loaded full of charm, and the people you encounter or the characters that you have to fight or work with are kind of creepy, and Tunic has a lot of that, but I think Death's Door is quite a bit higher rated and was kind of a runner-up for Game of the Year. But this is a really great game that's exclusive to Xbox right now, which is very, very cool.
On Game Pass, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which is mad. I'm done.
So
can't wait to play it.
Say again, Asa. Say it.
I think it's pants. Like,
Really?
we had this conversation on GoLive at the weekend, and I don't want, like, I come across really negative when I'm talking about it. So I have to say, like, Tunic was made by one person, and I respect the hell out of that one person for what they've managed to put together and do. And I played Tunic with my son beside me, and he was having a bit of a bad day, and he wanted some cheering up, and he just came to see what I was doing. And he wants to develop games when he's older, and he was looking at this game, and I was talking to him about it being made by one person, and he's like quite inspired by it. So respect the game massively, but it also makes me question the way that this industry reviews things. Because
isn't it
for
like
a game
KY Bob said in the chat, like, half the text is unreadable. Like, a lot of the text that pops up is in runes, and you can't read it. And you grab things in the world, and it drops like a it looks like a segment out of Nintendo Power. For those of you who grew up in the late 80s, early 90s gaming on the NES, like, it unlocks a page. It's like a physical animated page that would look like it came out of a Nintendo Power magazine, explaining because they used to give you like a little map and show you how to play the game better. And that's kind of how you get the hints of how to play the game. And it's really interesting. So you have to kind of look at it like, only some stuff is written in English for English speaking people in the version, but the rest is in runes. And you look at it like, I can't read this, but then you look at the drawings, and it's quite charming. One person made that. That's crazy.
Amazing. Just
yeah.
Make us feel insignificant. One person did all of that.
Well, if I was reviewing a game, and maybe this is a biased thing to do, but if I was reviewing a game and my information was one person made this game, I would automatically give it a couple of points out of 100 bonus, right? Like, look what this person did, but maybe people don't like that. Like, just look at what somebody can do.
It depends on how you review games, and this is why Asa and me are perfect for running an aggregation platform, because despite our Jekyll and Hyde nature, we do
humble brag.
It's not humble at all. This is weighing. No, but that's bad. This is we will seriously talk about what constitutes the different views. And I sympathize with your view. One man. And they built it. One man, a woman built this game, and there's a struggle for adversity there. You want to give some points there because relative to big studios, they've done a lot of work. There's an argument there. For me personally, I wouldn't think that way. Ultimately, I think the utility for a reader, you mention it, you mention it to readers, but then it's different views. I don't know. I'm going on a tangent, but it's a really good point that you made there. It's there's loads you can talk about on that, but yeah, I appreciate.
Or
the
is
way
it?
you
I
think
guess
that.
is it
You're a
okay
softie,
to kind of?
That's why you're a nice.
Yeah,
guy.
I am a softie. I'm like,
Hashtag
is it
be
okay to
nice.
kind of to give them a little bit of leeway? Like, this game doesn't. This game could have had these things. But it's one guy.
Well,
and
Sean
he
Murray
and what it does is
didn't
amazing.
get any leeway for lying through his teeth for No Man's Sky, but he does get a lot of leeway for doing.
Tunic
wanna
didn't
interview him
overpromise.
because-
Like Tunic was like, here's a little bit of gameplay, and then boom, there it is on Game Pass. But
Yeah,
what a great
no.
get. We have a
Xbox
bunch of
got
other
too many games. Too many
we have a-
games.
we have a bunch of other stuff that we have to talk about that kind of ties into this. It's pretty crazy. I got a couple supers here. I want to talk about Contraband. Let me read these here. Yudani Quezada says, I want to know if you guys consider yourselves Xbox influencers. And then he's got a laughing, crying emoji. I convinced somebody to buy an Xbox somewhere, I think. I don't know if that means I'm an influencer. Asa, what are you, Asa?
Nobody's ever asked me that before. I don't want to know the answer.
What about you, Gaz? You think you've influenced people in a good or bad way?
I'm a
regarding
bad
Xbox?
influence. That's all I am. Definitely not an Xbox influencer, despite my allegiance. Like, I like Xbox. I want it to do well. I like to pee on PlayStation fanboys. I have to really censor myself here. But I'm not a cheerleader for Xbox. Phil Spencer probably won't like me because I'll be critical of things. We're not like that. We're a news aggregation platform, man. We can't we can pick sides to be because we have natural gravitation towards certain platforms. But if you guys want us to be cheerleaders for a certain brand, we'll never be that. I'm sorry. Halo sucks.
Yeah, I know. I was actually working on a video to, and I just kind of ditched it, but to talk about how Rare and the initiative and 343 need to kind of straighten some things out. It's a tough conversation to have, but not quite ready for it. Risk it for the biscuit with the Australian $3 ads about Tunic. He said you get shield later on and a whip. So yeah, you can block later. I only have the sword and a bunch of firecrackers and 3 potions, so I've made my way for a little bit. Ham Solo 5 Gaming says Todd and crew showing that Starfield passion hard. Yeah, I mean, when you watch these people sit around and talk, I could tell they're passionate about it. You have to wonder how much is lip service, but Bethesda's made some great games. So Sleeping Vistas with the Australian 5 says, what do you think of the no die and infinite stamina options in Tunic? So there is an easy mode, basically, where you can keep playing the game, even if you die, or I guess you don't die. I haven't looked into it, but this is a fiery thing. Let me know in the comment section chat, and I'll just ask you two real quick, Ace and Gaz. Do you think that a very difficult game should have an easier mode for people who don't want to die and respawn so many times, or is it break the mold?
It depends on the game.
Exactly that.
Oh,
Like
look
Sifu
at
is the
you,
example.
Asa. A copy.
See, if Sifu had... No, because we've spoken about this before. You know all of your good points come from me, Gaz. That's why you got in there so quick. If Sifu had an easy mode, there wouldn't be a game left. And I know that's
What
a bad
are you
example of
laughing
Sifu
at?
introducing one.
I love Asa. I love him. And he's got a great point. If you missed it, sorry if I was laughing there. Your great point about Sifu. Sifu, in my opinion, wouldn't be as good a game if it had an easy mode. And people
It's
don't
not that it wouldn't be as
understand
good a game. There wouldn't be a game. Sifu has 5 levels. And if you take the difficulty out of it, that's like it's a 15, 20-minute game at that point. Difficulty it's an interesting one, actually. You can go into it quite a bit. The thing with options is everyone always says there's no such thing as a bad option. And it's not always true. I mean, there's microtransactions for a start to prove that it's not true, that there are bad options. But people don't necessarily choose what's good for them, especially when you're talking about things that add convenience and things like that. So if there was an easy mode in Sifu, someone might be struggling with Sifu, and they go, oh, I'm going to go on the easy mode. And they will massively diminish that game for themselves because the option was there. So there is an argument against it. But then you look at a game like Elden Ring. For me, Elden Ring should have a difficulty option. Not for me. Don't come at me with the get good. But Elden Ring is huge, and Elden Ring is huge. And for me, like, the best part of Elden Ring is exploring the world and the discovery element of it, not the challenge. The challenge, fine, I could take it or leave it. But it's a shame that world is not available to so many people.
Sure.
So it's completely different to Sifu in that regard.
I've had a different opinion, because I never really played games like that difficult. I didn't give Hades my attention. I barely even got into Returnal. And Elden Ring is the first time I've done this. And now I can understand, when you think about it, almost every game we've played over the past 40-some years, if you've been playing for a long time like I have, for 30-some years, right? Almost every game, like you die, you respawn, you come back, checkpoint, there's very little punishment. There's something about Elden Ring and a Souls game where when you die, like the enemies are so brutal and there's a heavy price to be paid. And of course, people always talked about when you overcome the enemy, that sense of accomplishment and the shaking hands, like it's a rush of adrenaline you have more often than most any game. So I'm kind of starting to learn that if you don't like that difficulty, that games might not be for you. But then there's a whole accessibility thing. But
accessibility I got to read. Jose Linares talks about that disability argument. That's very different. Accessibility is different.
Right.
It's about the easiness.
Not entirely.
I mean, there's people who have different. Yeah, there's people who have totally different abilities or motor functions than I do, or different limitations that could wipe the floor in a game like Elden Ring way over me, because they're way more committed and they're way better and they're just really good, and they what they can do, they do amazing. So yeah, it's very, very different. This is a kind of a funny super chat. For Havoc says, "Oh, how can 2 to 3 dudes be so pretty on cam?" Sorry, Colt.
Guys, Colt and Sonic.
Every once in a while I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, Colt, you are a handsome guy. And the mirror goes, nah, you're not. But let's get into the big topics real quick. I got to start off like talking about Contraband. This is a game. I'll paint the picture for you guys in the chat. We've heard of Contraband, but Contraband is made by the top tier team of Avalanche that made the Just Cause series, which the first 3 are incredible. 4 is not very, but this is an open world set in the 70s heist game. So it's like very low tech, very pulp film type of heist game where you 4-player co-op and you can play the game online. You set up your heist. Like, it's a more fleshed out thing of what Grand Theft Auto Online did. This is by Avalanche Studios, like I said. So apparently, according to Jez Corden of Windows Central, Contraband was supposed to come out last year, and because of the global pandemic, they were shooting for 2022, and none of us knew it. So behind the scenes, with no announcement, no release date, Contraband is now reportedly, allegedly, being set for 2023. Asa, I don't know if this is your thing, a 1970s era heist game with friends online. We would assume it's a third person, over the shoulder shooting and third person camera view, car chase cam stuff. Like, I don't know. Give us your thoughts.
I don't know if it's my thing or not. I don't know if it's my thing or not either, because the trailer showed nothing to do with the game, really. Mm-hmm. There was a slight vibe to the trailer, and that's all you could take from it. Mm-hmm. So much like Perfect Dark, probably shouldn't have been shown yet.
Well, I mean, maybe if they showed that expecting to show gameplay E3 and then drop the game this holiday, I mean, that was only a year and then 6 months until the release after gameplay was shown. But we could possibly see gameplay this E3.
I'll stand behind my general opinion that CG teaser trailers don't do a lot for me.
I agree with you. And Gaz,
particularly,
throw your hat in the ring. And I want your hat when you're done with it.
Sorry, I actually took that.
You don't. He sweated into that a lot today.
He poured his soup. He poured his ramen through it to strain it.
No, hat gas looks better. Sorry, 1 second. Let me adjust myself. So I disagree. Although Asa did say for him it didn't do much. I think CG trailers, if done well, can set the scene. I don't think whatever.
Contraband.
This game. What?
Gaz.
Contraband.
That's the one.
Gaz.
Don't think that did that. I'm
Gaz.
sorry.
They didn't show anything. Like they
That's what I'm
panned over
saying.
a workshop and there was somebody. There's like
Let me say
disembodied
what I
legs.
If you let me say, I'm saying the same thing. If you let me say, I'm literally showed a little pan of like through the garage. It's garage. I said that in an American way. Some sparks
Aluminium.
flying out, some cars. It didn't really set the scene, kind of maybe the time period. But Redfall, that had a CGI trailer. And I thought that was a good CGI trailer. Kind of got me excited, set the scene. Hey, you use that in your promo stuff, so don't even. Okay. And I like it. And me and King David were having a back and forth on this. And I think, it depends. I mean, I need to see more of this game. It's like a very niche, like heist from GTA, but set in the 70s. But I like the, more co-op, kind of the typical Xbox Game Pass kind of game. But you ask, I can't get hyped for this. I'm more hyped for Redfall than I am for this, because at least they showed something, even if it isn't CGI form. So, yeah.
Abacadab72 says, I get to pass with the Steely Dan song. Not my favorite Steely Dan song, but I mean, there aren't a lot of period piece video games, not too often. Like this one's set in the 70s. And of course, Mafia series is a period piece. I feel like that's kind of a untapped thing to make a game set in a certain time period and kind of nail all those little idiosyncrasies and kind of riff off of like the clothing and the music and all that stuff and the type of cars. It could be good.
How do you say garage? In
Over
America?
here, we say garage. Yeah, we say it the
I
dumb
said
way.
Firestar 66C.
Hey, the funny thing is, like, Gaz can call it garage because of where he's from. But
Garage music. Garage. We're just going to call it garage.
Yeah, I've been talking to the guys from Australia, and of course they have their
Australia.
own way of saying Australia. Yeah, don't make me do the accents. So yeah, I have a hard time saying this. Abba Cab 72. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. He says they just announced Godfall Ultimate Edition on Xbox. This is kind of a failed game. Yeah, we won't dwell on this, but Gearbox is like, hey, we like throwing money at these little investments and making some cash and just walking away. And it didn't do well on PlayStation. Now it's finally coming to Steam and Xbox. Will it come to Game Pass? I bet you're asking. Probably. It'll probably come to Game Pass. And we'll like mess with it for a second. Maybe. But I don't want to see Xbox guy go, this is amazing, I love it. But so Contraband, expect to see Contraband, see gameplay. I'm thinking we're going to see gameplay at E3.
I think so.
Today, Jade Raymond.
I want to call you up on a little thing there, not call you out or anything, but just curious. So that Game Pass has had some games
about Godfall?
that have been, Godfall. Game Pass has had some games that didn't pan out the way that Microsoft would have hoped when they signed it up. But I'm not aware of them actually signing up a game that hasn't performed well, like post-release.
Oh,
so when it's about Godfall
I don't think they have
and
either.
Microsoft having a quality standard. Again, I'm not even saying this as like a slight against Godfall, but I'd be a little bit surprised if they put it on the service after it's kind of flopped.
That's a good point.
I mean, you're right. They do have some low-rated games, but you're right. They're games that they're going to see if they stick because they have promise. Like, I wonder how many times like the leaders see a game like Tunic and like, gosh, that could be really big, and it is. It is great. It scored well. So yeah, I mean, Asa can call me out and call me wrong. I would like to be wrong. I actually don't want Godfall to taint that perception of Game Pass. You have to bleep me when I say it. I don't want Xbox to. Yeah.
You don't want Xbox to pro.
This is our first rehearsal, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing this live, and people have made fun of my acting chops. So hey, I'll work on it. Haven Studios is a new acquisition. This is what I woke up to this morning. Jade Raymond, who has been famous for bringing the really popular Assassin's Creed games to form with Ubisoft. She started a new studio. PlayStation said, hey, we'll help you fund your next project. Google Stadia worked with them, and it kind of fell out of sorts. So PlayStation's really excited about what they're working on. Gaz, what do you know about this Haven Studios? Like, this is yet another will buy instead of building situation, or am I wrong?
Well, actually, no. So I saw a lot of conversations about this and said, "Oh, look, organic growth." Actually, isn't this organic growth? Because they were a second-party exclusive until Sony. Now they funded this project. They don't have no games. This is the project they built, and now they've acquired them. So I think this is organic growth. I think this constitutes that. They funded everything as far as I'm aware. So yeah, but they have no games under their belt. But Jade's pedigree should not be underestimated. It's almost like they're buying them. They must have seen, or they definitely have seen.
They had to have seen, or we can't say it's organic growth. They've been they funded it and they like what they see. Go ahead.
Exactly. And so it could be a good get. They have 60 people on the in the dev team. A lot like the initiative. Which one will be better? I think this will probably fare better than the initiative based on what things I'm hearing. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's great. It could be potentially a great thing. The only reason why I say it's great is because Jade's involved and she's brilliant. But the thing that won't be great for...
Gaz, read what Rookie said. I like Rookie.
Jade Redmond hasn't made a game since AC2. I think he may be correct. Rookie has all the receipts. I know him in real life, the absolute liability that he is. But yeah, he might be right. He might be right. But Jade is great.
I don't care. Like, I mean...
She's making a live service game, though. How's that going to reconcile with PlayStation Hardcore? They have they proclaim to have a disdain for that, but no, it's early days. We haven't seen no gameplay footage. Another acquisition in PlayStation's library. They are working overtime. This is certainly not going to be the last. Let's see. It's good news for PlayStation, in my opinion.
Yeah, this Haven thing could just be like they have really great concepts or really great ideas, and PlayStation is like, this would be a good, easy purchase. Asa, what do you think about this when this news broke?
Yeah, I think maybe 10 years ago, Sony would have worked with them and got that first game out of the door. And if it was good, they would have tried to buy that studio. And the industry is different now. There are other sharks shopping everything up. So if that promise is there and they're thinking that the studio can deliver, they need to sign them up earlier, sign them up cheaper. And they've done that. It makes a lot of sense. I don't know if their game is one of the 10 live service games that Sony had in development, or if they're up to 11 now.
I am listening to you. I've been on podcasts where
I see what you're at.
I've been on podcasts where I like make some big speech and everyone's like, no, I'm just kidding. People ask me about this. Like I made the organic jokes, but PlayStation has bought more studios than they built. But it's not even an insult. Like, this is literally how you grow a business. Like, you can't go around like just building studios from the ground up. This is what we're seeing with the initiative, where they tried to build one studio from the ground up this late in the game, and they're having growing pains. I have to hit Asa. I've got Asa and Gaz from GameOn Daily and the GoLive podcast here. This is the XNC podcast. If you're having a good time, please hit the like button. We're so close to 500 likes. Got over 700 people watching. The chat is amazing. Thank you so much. You're powering the show, and you're... What are you whispering? Smash. Just love it. Just hit the love it button. Just smash it.
I love that thing.
We are having a really good time with the show. I got to ask these two gentlemen a very difficult question, one that will burn deep into their personal annals of their lives and make them question where they came from. Are you ready, Asa and Gaz, for this question?
Yes.
This goes in line with organic growth. Here's the scenario. Asa turns off his camera. He's like, I'm out of here.
Difficult question. That's not what I'm here for.
Okay, here's the question. I am feeling... I have like a bad
17.
Luke Skywalker feeling.
Sorry, 17.
I panicked. It's C. I have this feeling things are going to go very difficult for Activision Blizzard. Here's my scenario to you. Things do not pan out and the deal does not get approved. Microsoft in turn has to pay about 3.5 or almost $4 billion in a merger acquisition fee for failing to deliver on the purchase. This is the scenario. Xbox has been very quiet. Microsoft doesn't want to talk about anything else. They don't want to buy or partner with anybody new in public eyes. What happens? I'll start with Asa. If Xbox cannot get this deal approved and they have to pay out over $3 billion for nothing, just shove it out the window for failing to make this merger. Go, Asa.
I can tell you exactly what would happen in that scenario. Bobby Kotick gets the money. The Activision board gets the money. Microsoft will pay their 3.5 to 4 billion or whatever it is, because that's what they signed up for. They're committed to it. They have to. They haven't got a choice.
Right.
And they'll just carry on. So the thing with the Activision Blizzard purchase is it's never been like a key step for Microsoft's progress. It was an acquisition of opportunity. Things happened at Activision Blizzard, and we've heard the story. It was like 3 days after it broke that they were in trouble. Phil Spencer went and started talking to old Bobby about buying them. So it was a moment of opportunity rather than something that was critical. And it's a massive opportunity, and I'm sure they'll be bitter that they've lost it if it goes. But they don't need to react in any knee-jerk way if it falls through, because this is just the path that they were already on.
Okay, I haven't thought about it that way, but the chat is got different.
I knew they would say that.
Shout out to Alvin in the chat who said, and I'll censor. Satya Nadella wipes his rear end with $3 billion. I'm not so sure. I talked to somebody that I talk over gaming news, and we also create content about this, and he said that this is really horrible. I'm going to say this, but he says if this deal doesn't go through and Microsoft has to pay out $3+ billion as a fee, somebody's head's going to roll. And someone may have to like step down and like kind of fall on the sword for this not panning out.
No,
and I'm like,
I don't think
really
that
is it that extreme?
Who is going to be fired for a $70 billion top exec level decision? Phil Spencer? No. Ultimately, the deal. The deal is going to go through. I have very little doubts about it. If there are going to be any punitive measures against it, okay. But largely, the regulatory bodies, they conduct what is really a political exercise. You're talking about Microsoft that has, and Hargeek will tell you, quite deep tentacles in the government. You've got international factors.
Wait, did you say tentacles?
Oh, conspiracy theory. Here we go.
It's not conspiracy theory. You think America will, the regulators will spite American companies versus China, that Tencent and all that? It is a largely political affair. It's going to go ahead. In terms of what may be a problematic for Xbox, maybe the fact that regulators may decide to attach some conditions on that makes them extend. You don't have to raise your hand. It's your show.
I love that. Raising my hand. No, it's not. It's my show, but you guys are the guests. Someone said last week, like, one of your guests was interrupting you too much. I'm like, no, like they're my guests. Like, I want them to be able to feel like they can talk when I could sit here and talk all day. Okay, so I dropped a poll and people are like, what the heck, Colt? I said, do you want this deal to go through? Let me explain why I asked that. This is super, like, I just kind of threw a dog crap filled bag down when I said, what if this deal doesn't go through? Here's where I'm sitting, my complete honest opinion about the Activision Blizzard thing. When I look at the Activision Blizzard merger, to me, it seems like the majority or the biggest IPs could possibly remain multi-plat. And even now for a while until this goes through. So some of the heavy hitting stuff that puts Xbox in a leverage position for unique content and for Game Pass may not be there in full force. So I start to get this feeling where I'm like, this deal is kind of shaky. Hoag's Law, who's amazing, who's been on the show, still says it's an 20% chance that it doesn't make it. He's very convinced in his professional opinion that it's heading in the right direction. But you also have to wonder, PlayStation's buying studios. Xbox could be trying to buy WB or Capcom or somebody bigger. And I feel like they're in a stalemate. I'm opening this up for discussion. This is just partial of my opinion. They're kind of in a stalemate where for the next year or 18 months, they can't talk about, or maybe they're not ready to even reach out and strike deals with buying another publisher or studio because they don't want to hinder this current one, which as a big Xbox fan, some of that leverage is not coming out of the deal other than a lot of extra money for Xbox, which goes back in. That's just how I'll just lay it out like that. I don't know. Was that reasonable?
Yeah, it makes sense. The scale of it's unprecedented for Microsoft as a company, let alone in the gaming sphere. So there's no real precedent here. But it's just, shout out to Hogue. It was based on his expertise in mergers and acquisitions and him telling us and explaining to us the largely political process behind it. And in the backdrop is the basic manifesto of these regulators who have come out very clearly to say that they want to set an example about these things. So why not would Microsoft 70 billion? That's where they would try and do it. But Microsoft is no slouch. Their lawyers are going to be some madness. I'm relaxed about it. What I'm intrigued about are the conditions on the exclusivity. How far will the regulators extend their reach on mandating, okay, Overwatch needs to be multi-platform, this game, Diablo and COD. So, there's me and Special Nick and the guys at Xbox here have a big disagreement about what that means. I take it at face value. They're saying, no, it's basically done as not ruse, but a way to appease regulators. Sure. But I disagree with that on the COD exclusivity. But don't worry, man. It's going to go through, in my opinion. We'll be fine. The question is...
Let me close that can of worms. I know it's kind of crazy, but let me close it by asking Asa, do you think that Xbox is comfortable or Microsoft is comfortable with trying to work a deal? Because these deals take a while. Do you think Microsoft is actually looking out for maybe another studio or maybe another publisher in the interim while this deal is in its crazy state?
They're notably less aggressive with their spending than they were prior to this, around the kind of ZeniMax period and all the studios that they got before that. Like I said, a few minutes ago, though, Activision Blizzard was an opportunity that came up that they pounced on very quickly. I've got no doubt that they're keeping an ear to the ground for other opportunities and filling gaps in their portfolio. I've said, other times on our show and things, Microsoft also needs not just the studios that we really know as famous big AAA studios, they need to diversify their portfolio. So they'll be looking in places that we don't expect to find games that we might not even be interested in, as well as the ones that we like. And I don't think...
Yeah, I mean, if you say that, Asa, I want to hear it from someone like you. I'll trust you, Asa. All right, I'll trust you. That's kind of what I want to hear. Just tell me what I want to hear, that it doesn't end with the Activision deal. I mean, because it's a lot of money. They spent almost $7 billion on Bethesda, and now they spent $76 billion or whatever it was on this one. I got to give a shout out to Kurt5150 who's in the chat. It says a $5 to Gaz and says, the sauce is here. Hey, Kurt, there's the new Fender Strat I just picked up. You got to come over and check it out. So, 5150, what a great name. What a great album. Yeah, he's awesome. So, Hargeet Chani has got to throw his opinion in the ring. He says, I keep saying, thank you, Hargeet, for the Hargeet, you've done enough. You are amazing. Hargeet, the man with the Blu-rays.
Save that money for
so much more. He's amazing. Save it for GoLive. Hargeet and I talk on Xbox almost every single day. I'll hit him up on Party Chat, and he's like, Cole, I'm in a meeting. When I get done with work, I'll hit you up, and then we hang out for a while. Hargeet says, I keep saying the issue isn't IP, it's Game Pass. Activision Blizzard and King is more about the potential for Game Pass to become too big. Multiplat isn't the issue. If the FTC pushes back, Microsoft can sue, and Supreme Court will decide.
Yeah, he's right, though. The regulators will definitely look at it through the reach of, in terms of monopolistic, people say, that's actually a great point. Microsoft is third in the gaming arena if you rank them.
You're going to still want to mine again, aren't you? I can see it coming. Go on, take it.
It's not one of yours, it's one of Hargeet's. He's literally said it there. It's Game Pass.
Go on, say what you're saying.
I was gonna say Game Pass is the one that could be seen as Actually, you did say this.
This is like the back and forth.
Yeah,
This is the back and forth of the GoLive guys.
Asa did see this. I can't take credit for other people's work. Asa did say that. He did say that it's Game Pass and streaming. No one comes close.
There's a lot of
Right.
talk about, there used to be. I mean, obviously this deal's been going on for a while, and I'm sure it's been covered a lot on your show and many others. There's a lot of talk about it not being a monopoly because of the position of PlayStation and Tencent and all the rest of them. And that's true. Like Microsoft having Activision Blizzard is not a monopoly in that space. But if you look
Not
at
even close.
No, but that's a small space. It's not the big picture. If you look at the big picture of cloud streaming and subscription services in the future, then suddenly competition is a completely different question, because Microsoft have already basically scared Google out of that massive space.
Yep.
Amazon have Luna that's stateside only kind of beta, might expand, might not. And Sony have got a mountain to climb if they want to compete with Microsoft in that space. So if you look at the anti-competitive picture, it is not the console space. That's not relevant to it, to that whole conversation.
Still niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still niche. Yeah,
It's a tiny.
in our world,
morsel
like console's
compared to-
big. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still niche. There's two things I got to cover. One of them we'll gloss over fairly quickly and tie it into the other one. But Moon Studios, the team behind Ori and Ori 2, we'll just call them that for quickness. Apparently, they had a really oppressive workplace, and Microsoft does not like that. And this is one of the reasons why they will come as the saving grace for Activision Blizzard and kind of help them become a better place and make those people more happy and more satisfied where they work. But apparently it got really rocky with the ending of Ori and the Will of the Wisps in 2019. I think it was 2020. The development was very rocky and people were wanting to leave. I'm trying to generalize this because I talked to somebody who's very close to Moon Studios, but apparently it got really difficult, and Xbox and Phil Spencer and the teams do not like their teams they work with to be in a very difficult situation. So a lot of bridges were burned as Ori and the Will of the Wisps came out. If you remember, about a year ago, the head of Moon Studios said something to the effect of, "We could have had a much bigger game if we weren't only on Xbox." And I was like, whoa, like this is what you signed up for. You got paid extra. You got funded to make this game, and it's exclusive to Xbox and PC. Like, this is how it is. Like, this is kind of out of left field. Well, turns out that was out of anger because there's a lot of non-happy things going on. On the flip side, as we move forward, instead of talking about Moon Studios, Daryl Gallagher spoke up in quite detail about the initiative team, this super team of developers, a lot of leaders in the gaming industry working together and wanting their voice heard. Asa, I don't know if you dove into this, divvied into this information about the initiative. Dived. The initiative's kind of in a rough spot, but there's a real great light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm going to grab this stuff from Daryl Gallagher. Tell people what you know about Perfect Dark and where it's sitting right now.
Yeah, so, I mean, the story goes some 30 to 40 people left over the last 12 months. Pretty much kicked off from the point that the deal with Crystal Dynamics was announced. The Crystal Dynamics were taking over a lot of the development for Perfect Dark. The positive for me is that Crystal Dynamics are a phenomenal studio, and Perfect Dark is probably going to turn out just fine and really good. There's obviously a lot of people on the outside looking at the initiative and going, well, that studio has flopped and failed. And to a degree, it's fair. I think the initiative was set up in a way that's fairly unique in the gaming space. That we've heard, particularly from Rand, who I think he was on your show last week, wasn't he? But they were set up as this small, agile studio that can kick off projects and all the rest of it. It was a fairly unique proposition. They hired masses and masses of talent, and failure is a strong word, but they've definitely had to pivot away from what they were doing with that studio. They've had to, and that's not, when you're trying something new, that's something that can happen, right? And they've looked at it and it's not panned out the way they wanted, and they've made some changes. It's not necessarily negative if the games that come out at the end of it are good. And I think Perfect Dark, I've got no strong feeling for Perfect Dark as an IP, but if it comes out good, then that talent, like the talent from that studio, is still in the industry. Some of it at Microsoft, some of it not. It is what it is. I'm quite happy from the outside.
Yeah, and do you agree, Asa, as fans, like we're not really meant to know about the inner arguments or inner tension between a studio, but information is so readily available that we dive in and divot into this stuff, and it kind of becomes obnoxious. And Daryl Gallagher has something to say in response to the media going, "Oh, there's big problems." I got to read this super chat from KY Bob, which I think Gaz. I know Gaz is reading it. I kind of missed this one, but this is funny. He says, Gaz, you need to ditch the headphones and get wireless earbuds like the rest of us when you're on podcasts. Show us those earlobes. And Gaz and I were doing this when we read it. Oh, and he says, we are secretly Mark Cerny wannabes. He wants to get an ear imprint. But the funny thing about Gaz is if you've obviously followed the Sauce videos, he's wearing these huge headphones. He's a madman wizard with those things on. It's kind of part of the character, so they must never leave. But let's see.
We'll take sponsorship deals, though.
Gaz pulled one off and started doing this, and praise the earlobes. Asa, you set it up perfectly. You set up the whole discussion perfectly. Before I go to Gaz, let me read what Daryl Gallagher said, because he gave about 1 minute of correspondence about this. Here's what Daryl Gallagher said. This is the guy who led Crystal Dynamics in the early 2010s to reboot an amazing Tomb Raider series on the 360, PS3, and Xbox and PS4, right? He says, it's no small task to build a studio and reinvent a beloved franchise. In creating the initiative, we set out to leverage co-development partnerships to achieve our ambitions, and we're really excited about all the progress we're seeing with our relationship with Crystal Dynamics. Daryl Gallagher also says, I love it, and I love it. And then he says, in this journey, it's not uncommon for there to be staffing changes. Here's the damage control, but listen to what he has to say. Especially during a time of global upheaval over the last 2 years, and there's plenty more work in front of us to deliver a fantastic Perfect Dark experience to our players. Almost done, he says, we wish all our former colleagues the very best, and I'm confident in the team we have in place, the new talent joining, and we can't wait to share more with our fans. Gaz, what is going on? Like, half of the initiatives, 70 people said, I'm out. I'm getting a new job somewhere else. I don't want to work on this anymore, as far as we know.
I mean, nothing he said there actually... I mean, that seems like marketing spiel. I wouldn't expect him to say anything different. Yes, global upheaval and all that, but you set up a small and agile outfit that became significantly smaller, almost like by half. Remember, the initiative was touted as a quadruple A outfit because of the nature of the talent that they hired. You've got the lead designer guy, he leaves. That's insane to me. That's insane. Mm-hmm. When he left... Two
big leads left, yeah.
Yeah. So when he left, people said, oh, no, the design stuff is done. I'm like, how the hell do you know that? And they said, oh, no, his brother died, and that's why he left. All right, fine.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the game, though? And then he joined Insomniac. And yeah, fine. He had okay, of course, if you have a horrendous kind of bereavement, that's fine. But we're talking about the state of the game. You can't, people are having the cake and eating it. So it's fine. But what about the game? Oh, no, it's fine. The development side is done. Then you've got multitude of different people leaving. But why does Gallagher not reconcile the statements from the people that came out, the previous staff members? It wasn't all Kushti. It wasn't all upheaval because of COVID. They came out and said painfully slow progress. Remember when I shared it and I said it was ridiculous and how much flack I got, how stupid it was? What was Phil Spencer playing? A menu? Wireframe? What the hell was Phil Spencer playing? Spencer, what were you playing? I know you listened to this.
Like Asa, Phil Spencer, like a year and a half ago, was probably playing like a framework portion of the game, like the engine. And
one person can knock up like something playable to prove the concept of some gameplay. So
yeah. And it may not look
would have put something
neat,
together to say, look, this is the direction we want to take. We want this particular feature. We think it's great. So
yeah. So what was the other thing they said, Gaz? What was the other problem? Slow progress.
Fast and Furious exits, that's fine. Painfully slow, and a solid company culture never formed. So you're telling me you got these new entrants in there. How they're going to rectify that? Then they talked about how surprised they were with all former employees. VGC spoke to said they were surprised at how lenient Microsoft had been over the lack of progress. The lack of progress and leniency for Microsoft.
Yes.
What the hell? What's going on? You don't have anyone to manage this studio.
You're talking about having your
built.
cake and eat it too, Gaz. Like everyone thought Xbox was going to buy up or build these studios and run them into the ground and cancel them, but Microsoft has been hands off. So like, which is it? Where's the happy medium?
This is what Asa was talking about on our show Saturday. Like, there's no one rule fits all here. You can have Tim Schafer. He's got a pedigree in there. He's got a solid culture in his studio. Fine, leave him to his own devices. Then you've got a studio you built from the ground up. You've got Initiative full of all these talented people from these are super talented people. And, Forte was saying on our show, okay, they may have some egos in there. There may be a battle of personalities on there. You need a stronger personality to reconcile and manage all these talented people. They left because they probably have choices. They are talented for a reason. They'll be sought for a reason. One person said, making games is hard enough, let alone when you feel like you can't get through to people making the decisions that affect everyone. That's a scathing remark about the manner in which this company is run. And then again, there's more. Okay, this is the one where you can argue. I mean, all of these points you can argue. I'm sure Gallagher could come in here and argue. There's this other point. They said,
get him on the show, would you?
I mean, we'd love to. We are a journalistic outfit. We would invite them to this kind of. I think the industry needs some people to ask some hard questions. I think too many softies are in the space. Like, do a news. We will do it. We'll do it. Promise you. If they come to sit down with us, we will have a proper question and answer thing. This medium has to. Evolve or mature a bit. Even this guy, the source guy, spits on camera. But never mind. But despite that, and me and my ad hominem attacks. Another point. They said the initiative's website claims that the company promotes a collaborative, creative environment, but former employees describe the studio's development hierarchy as top-down. So Gallagher and Newberger were keeping a strong grasp on the creative decisions.
There's a couple layers there, guys.
Because you have to have some cogency. Yeah, there's a couple layers there. Like
Jez Corden reported from what he dug into it that some of the leads, I hear the chat. Chat's amazing. Chat's making really good points that I completely agree with. Like, it's Daryl Gallagher and Crystal Dynamics, which is a killer combination. And I've always felt like that's in good hands. But here's one of the things that Jez Corden kind of started to figure out. He said that some of these leads at the initiative, which they're not the people that are building the game, they're concepting, building in the engine, and they're doing like some of the really early on work. And then they bring in contractors and they start doing all the heavy lifting after that and all the detail work. So some of the leads at the initiative were proposing some groundbreaking game mechanics or different ways. And I think this translates to me personally as there were people that were leading that were trying to say, what if we do an episodic thing? And that did not land well with fans. What I've heard is Daryl said, look, we're not going to do this like test tube type thing where we try to reinvent the wheel or do some groundbreaking thing. We need to just deliver a solid single player, amazing experience. And we need to do it the way that we know how, because some of the mechanics and things they were trying to build weren't working and it was slowing progress. And the top down thing, guys, comes from Daryl Gallagher saying, look, it's not working. We need to get progress on this. We need to do what we've done best. Crystal Dynamics will help us deliver an amazing experience. And he had to put the kibosh on some of these wild ideas that may have been absolutely incredible. So you have to sit on the fence and go, what could have been? But then again, Xbox needed that traditional blockbuster, amazing single player game instead of trying to be episodic and games as a service, which really set people off a couple of months ago when I reported on it. Right. So Gaz, can you kind of feel like you can sit on the fence a little bit with this as far as damage control and critique?
I see so much damage control in chat. Oh, Crystal Dynamics, it'll be fine. So you don't want to listen to the people who worked there, left and critiqued it. You don't want to listen to the acknowledge the fact that these people, half of them left. Then whatever, you can made up your mind. Half of the team could die, and you'd still say, "Oh, but Crystal Dynamics is there. It's okay." I'm not saying Perfect Dark's going to be a crap game, but ultimately, it's like there's no facts. There's no facts. People have left. They've told you that. They're lying. Oh, but someone was saying, "Oh no, of course they've left. They'll be a bit spiteful." They left out of choice. They didn't get sacked. I don't get it. I'm not a proponent for making excuses on behalf of companies. That was reported. Former people have said it. I'm not saying it's going to fail, but ultimately you have to at least acknowledge that there may be a management problem, that there may be an issue for them to rejig some stuff there. That if staff feel disgruntled, that there's a disconnect between the management and everyone else there, then maybe there may be an issue. But you're just going to quickly here's an umbrella statement. Crystal Dynamics will work on it. It's going to be great. Well then, what do I say to that? I was like, all right, fine.
Asa, talk some sense into him. Talk some sense into guests. No.
All of those things can be true at the same time. Like chat are saying, like the studio will be fine. The initiative are going to land in a good place. They're working with Crystal Dynamics, and it's going to end up being a good game. There's every chance that that's true. And that doesn't mean that everything was fine with the initiative for the past year or whatever. No, both things can be true. The initiative was set up to do a thing. That thing kind of fell apart a bit. Maybe there was a management issue. They've rejigged things. Maybe they've landed in a good place. Yeah. But like all of this can happen at once. So,
but then they're like, someone's saying they would laugh you in the room. Come with me, and we'll go there and see who they laugh at, because you have the balls to ask them the questions that we are. No, people are just saying that. They just don't know how it works.
Let me say this. Let me say this.
That means it doesn't work. There's arguments there, but you can't even acknowledge the issue. No one's going to get laughed out of that room but you. But yeah, so go ahead.
Really good points. Like, ask yourself, chat, if you're a creative person, like I know Asa and Gaz and I, like we try to we're creating content, trying to make our voice heard. If I worked at I've been there. I've been at a place at my work where my creativity wasn't being utilized. And I just think, you know what? I'd like to go somewhere where I can be put to use. And they didn't leave happy. Let me grab a couple supers here. Because I really feel like we can sort of ride both sides of this and get some information out. I just want a really good game. I'm with Asa. Like, I wasn't thrilled about Perfect Dark, but I also wasn't thrilled about Tomb Raider until I saw the reboot. And I'm like, okay, I'm on board for that. Travis Wilson, let me make sure I didn't miss one. Yeah, I did. Hold on. Astray Gaming, who I was talking about earlier. KY Bob. Let me make sure I got him. Now I got KY Bob. Astray Gaming, thank you so much for the $3 Australian. You said if Satya Nadella is confident, then I'm confident. And he does. He's very confident about the merger, which if he didn't sound confident, that would sound really scary. But risk it for the biscuit. Thank you so much for the 10 Australian. He says, my question is, can Moon still produce greatness without having the toxic environment? In studios that don't accept substandard work, I imagine there's some hurt feelings. The initiative failed. Yeah, I mean, I hope.
I'm not saying they failed.
No, I don't think so either.
The proof is in the pudding. But I can at least acknowledge the problems. Some people don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I am a little slightly upset about some of the what could have been that's never going to see the light of day. But then again, it could be like games as a service stuff that I wouldn't have liked anyway. You never know. Like, we're not really meant to know the inner workings so early on in a game, but we live in a community. All of us, all of you here watching the show, everybody, all of you in the chat, like, we are the hardcore. Like, we dive into every little detail. We want to know what's happening with the games that we're so passionate about. And that's a really good thing. But with it comes some news that's not so fun to hear until things get ironed out. Travis Wilson with the $2 super says, I had to install GT7 today. Sorry, man. But hopefully they get things in order. We're going to talk about it, but it's kind of been a joke over the past couple weeks. Polyphony really skated out with an 87 Metacritic. I don't know how they did it with so many problems, but Forza's king. What can I say? For Havoc with a $5 super says, Perfect Dark is better off. The Tomb Raider 13 team is in control. Who better? Plus, no one cared about Perfect Dark until the controversy. I mean, we're all been like kind of thinking about it, but Brigadier's Blue with the $5 says it seems that this issue was just too many creatives and not enough direction. Every project needs a leader to make sure work is actually done. Speak on it, Asa.
Do you know, it's a funny thing, actually. Like, we all probably know as people that play games, there are far too many games for us to play, right? So we're at the top of this pyramid, and there's this amount of games, and we can never get to all of them. Beneath that, there's a whole ton of developers, and every one of them have got ideas, and most of them never make it into a game. It's just the nature of the beast. You're going to have people with ideas working on a game, but you need some top-down control because you cannot realize a game with 200 people giving different ideas. Obviously, the initiative is smaller than that, but typical kind of game studio size, everyone's going to want their say. A lot of it's not going to be heard, not going to be implemented.
But Asa, there's like, you've got somebody who led the Red Dead Redemption 2, amazing success. You've got somebody in there who built the great combat system in God of War, and those people want to hear their voices, and a lot of those people left. So,
but
like,
that's the
imagine
problem,
how they
though.
felt.
You hire these competing personalities. The higher these people you've hired have ranks, like these super talented people, the more impetus on you to make sure someone can lead them. If they're saying that, like someone in the chat says, oh no, there always has to be top down. You can't have it bottom up. No one is saying it has to be completely inverse. But you hired these people. Your job is to manage them. You have to have a strong personality to do that and manage their expectations. You can't just hire, and that's a startling example of where you've hired the top there. You open your checkbook and it doesn't work because on paper it looked nice, but it's not easy. It's not easy for any studio to do that. I'm not saying it has to be buttoned up, but they did say that. The burden is on Gallagher and his team to make sure they are assimilated properly, including the new talent. If they're from Crystal Dynamics and they have a history of working together, which they most likely will, they understand how Gallagher works, that's fine. But it's a shame that you couldn't make these talented people from different studios work together. There was potential there, ultimately didn't work out. But that is a failure. That delay is a failure.
I think it may only just be a lesson learned. Like Asa, think about it. If they hired 70 heavy hitters from around different disciplines, and the idea was for them to build the framework structure and game plan for a game, and then bring in a contractor, which I think Crystal Dynamics was in the plan all along when Daryl Gallagher signed up. But if you have 70 people that are supposed to build the framework and then give that and say, can you build the game? Here's the concept art. Here's the design manual and the manual for like what we want to do. Knowing what you know now from this discussion, Asa, is maybe 40 leaders better than 70? Maybe that lesson learned?
For me, like, it's easy to say that it was destined to fail. It was a doomed endeavor. Like, that getting these people together, all of these creatives, was never going to work. And some people did call it out when they were forming this studio, the whole too many cooks concept, which is fine. At the same time, like, not every experiment is going to play out. And I am still personally glad that Microsoft are willing to try something like that, willing to try and make this prestige studio. Okay, it didn't work out, but they're putting the money in there and recruiting the talent. So it's better for me that they have that ambition. Even if they didn't quite execute, it's better that they want that prestige and that level of game, and they'll keep trying to get it however works. So
that is well said. Gaz, what do you think? Do you agree with Ace on that?
That's a great point.
You absolute Sith.
Gaz speaks in absolutes. No, the chat's speaking absolutes. But yeah, no.
Don't attack my chat, and you're blocked.
I will attack your chat. I need to attack your chat. They need to take bleach out of their diet. No, I'm just
Gaz!
I'm playing. No, but that's a great point that Xbox had the ambition. They went to set out and do it. They did try. And I've always said this whole building studios from the ground up thing is a bit... it's a bit overblown, because ultimately the industry has progressed to such a level that it's not entirely possible. And this is a startling example of that. You can't, on paper, it's nice to hire all these top level people, but practically this is going to be a challenge. And there's going to be a multitude of different challenges for Xbox as well, including assimilating all these acquisitions into the Xbox brand, making sure how they manage some teams and how they don't. So it'll be
Right, where they step in and where they
yeah.
don't step in, you mean?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. A risk it for the biscuit. Thank you for the $10 Australian. He says the initiative is a failed experiment. I'm not saying that it's done, but they now have to pivot, and the initial idea failed. That can't be disputed. Perfect Dark will be fine, and with Crystal Dynamics on it. Gaz, you're right. So is Asa, and I think you just said F Colt. You're not right.
No, I think we're not. We're not.
I think we're all kind of on to. It's all speculation, right? One of the speculations is that Crystal Dynamics came on because people were leaving in force and they needed help. I don't subscribe to that idea. I think the idea was to bring Crystal Dynamics when it was time to do all the work, like when you get all the programmers, all the animators, and all those people working on their portion of the game, and you have that big chart of all the deliverables. I think that was part of the original deal. I'm going to stick by that. I'm with Risk It. They tried to have 70 cooks in the kitchen, and I'm going to stick with my opinion that maybe 40 is the right one, because you're just going to build the framework and have contractors build the game. But just in the chat, just give a little vote. You think Perfect Dark is going to be really great? Just tell us in the chat, because I think a lot of people are thinking that it's going to be really good. I'm ticked about the first person thing, but I guess it's Perfect Dark had to be in first person. I think it's going to be a mix of first with third person cover, like Deus Ex, and the old Perfect Dark. Shout out to, this will be my biggest super chat on the show. Very, very cool. Shout out to Dub, who just jumped in. I haven't seen him in the chat tonight. He says, with a $100 super chat, it says, I definitely think it's a combination of the two, a failure and lesson learned. Perfectly said. Initial goal failed, but it's part of the industry. You move and you build upon what you've learned. Very well, as he said, because this is a new studio. He says, I think the initiative will land on their feet eventually. They just got to figure it out. So I'm not super worried.
And none of us are saying anything otherwise. He's right. That's a great point. Yeah. It's a failed experiment. They can adjust. Neil Gallagher will have to get his belt out and manage better. And maybe they will.
Oh, man. I wish I was wearing my belt.
PTSD of my childhood. My dad just beating the crap out of me. Thanks for that. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. Your dad hit you with a belt and you still turned out like a total crazy person. What are you going to say?
Work.
No, but you guys are amazing. This is the XNC podcast. We've covered a lot of ground. The GoLive GameOn Daily guys are amazing. I got to just take 1 minute here to say, if it wasn't for these two, I would have never got this podcast off the ground. Gaz really motivated me. Asa lent so much technical help and worked with me and spent a lot of his free time. He could have been playing VR games, smacking around knights and peasants. I really appreciate it. They got me set up. They've been very supportive to do this podcast, and I'm so great to have you guys on. The show's been amazing. We've covered a lot of ground. This is the time, as we wind down, with over 700 people watching here, I want you guys to talk about what's in the plans for GameOn Daily and GoLive. My moderator and show producer Happy Bomb is going to hit the chat with links to your channel and to Twitter, I think, so that people can follow you. You guys have amassed over 10.3 thousand subscribers on YouTube. I think you're at 10.7, 10.3 last
10.3.
I don't remember numbers, but yeah. Donnie Kazada's already getting that. He says you can follow the Saucy Gaz and the Immaculate Asa on Twitter at Asa_GameOn Daily. If you're listening on the on-demand audio only version, Gaz can be found at Gaz on Daily, one word, Gaz, Gaz or Gaz is how you spell it. As we divot into the outro here with the you guys are amazing. So Asa, I got to start with you because you've been doing the heavy lifting with the super technical stuff, and you've been streaming. And what's on the plans for GoLive and GameOn Daily, Mr. Producer?
The first thing that I have to do is go back and watch this show and find out what I've apparently blamed chat for doing, because I have no memory of blaming chat for anything. Chat, you're awesome. I've not.
It was
said anything hostile, I don't think. Poor Havoc wants to fight my face, and that's okay. My face can take a punch. It's fine. We'll do that. It's taken a few in its time. Yeah, no, videos. I'm going to make more videos. We've got, if you haven't been using GameOn Daily, or if you've been on it over the last year and not been back for a while, it's improved massively over the last couple of weeks. And it's brilliant to use now. So please do check out GameOnDaily.com. Sign up there and get all kinds of gaming news. And yeah, keep our YouTube channel subscribed and see what's coming there. Thank you for the invite again. It's always awesome to come on here and have a chat with friends. So.
And give them a big thanks, chat, for Gaz and Asa being here. It is like 2 or 3 in the morning for them over in the UK, over the curvature of the earth. They're absolutely amazing. Before I go to Gaz, somebody in the chat, hold on, where was it? I like to give the name here. Let me just scroll up. Oh my gosh, where is it? Gosh darn it. I like to read who said it. They said that we didn't talk about, here it is, Sleeping Vistas. Sorry, I remember seeing your name when I read it while Asa was giving his outro. We never got to talk about the GT7 conspiracy. Let me just take a minute with both of you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
Horrible microtransactions. They weren't live because the game is not fully online during review period. So they didn't really hide them, but I think it would have, if they would have known how the microtransactions landed, scores would have been different. It's the lowest rated ever on Metacritic for a user score. It's now at like a 2.1 or something on a user score. It's being review bombed by Xbox and PlayStation fans and racing fans. It is a testament of how not to do a racing game. Forza Motorsport is probably releasing this fall in October, and I think lessons will be learned before launch. Gaz, do you want to say something really quick about GT7? Because it's been a joke. The footage has been looked dorky, and the physics are obnoxious. Do you want to say something before you do your outro?
I haven't played it, but I think the objective thing to say is it's a game. No, I don't. Ace played the game.
Let me. I've played it.
Okay, so, go. I forgot. Yeah, Ace has got something up his sleeve.
I'm not going to say a lot about it, right? And because I know we're wrapping up, and I'll make it quick. But I played, and to clarify, I'm not a Forza Motorsport like fanboy or anything. I played Forza Motorsport 7 for the first time ever yesterday, just to see what it was like. It's so much better than Gran Turismo 7. It's unbelievable. And I'm sorry, there might be some Gran Turismo fans here. Gran Turismo,
in feel or look or what?
Some of the Twitter feedback is kind of harsh in that it's not actually horrifically ugly when you play it. It doesn't drive horrifically badly. The core racing stuff is there as it always has been for Gran Turismo, right? It's reasonable to drive around. But everything around it is so far behind even the previous entries of Forza Motorsport.
Trackside stuff. You're talking
not even in race. Everything around it, the presentation of the game is horrific. This world map thing it's got with these smiling profile faces and messages. It's just I'm dead inside while I play it. It's got this elevator music in the background.
Grab Cash 7 for Havoc.
Yeah, and that's like that's before you even consider the microtransaction stuff, which is unacceptable. Absolutely. Like I said that when it came out, you can't charge $70, £70 for this game and then charge for the key progression currency as well. It's just no. So Forza Motorsport 8 is going to be phenomenal. So Turn 10 are I refer to them as an incubator studio at Microsoft. So if you want to see what an Xbox can do and what Microsoft's APIs can do, there's 2 studios that they primarily use to deliver that. One's Turn 10 and one's the Coalition. Turn 10, I'd actually say, is their primary one, the core one. So every time they've got something new, DirectX 12, upscaling, whatever they're showing off, they use Turn 10 to do that. Forza Motorsport 8 is going to be so much better than Gran Turismo 7 that it's not a contest. That franchise is not relevant to me anymore.
Asa, let me drop a link to your Gran Turismo 7 video. What's the name of your personal channel? Can I do that?
Sure. It's just my name on here. Asa GameOn Daily should link straight to it if anyone wants to just click that.
See, I'm getting a video of a guy riding a donkey. That's not you. I'm just joking.
I pasted it.
Where is your?
I pasted it. Done.
You pasted it. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Gaz in the chat has the video of Asa playing Gran Turismo 7.
I haven't seen
I haven't really talked about it because people have been writing the game harshly for almost 2 weeks. We talked about it on many shows. I know Asa and Gaz have been on enough shows where they've been talking about it, but it's a testament of how not to do a AAA racing game and charging $70 for that with microtransactions. But there's that. We've covered GT7. I almost bought the game. You can't. Yes, there's a chair right here. I have a great racing chair. I bought the PlayStation steering wheel just for that game, and now I'm not going to buy it until they fix it. Sorry, that's how I am. Gaz, let's get off of GT7 and let's get on to sweet Gazness. What's going on with Gaz? What's in the plans for the sauce? People are always asking, like, when you guys are going to drop new stuff. Tell us what's going on with GoLive, GameOn Daily, and what you do.
I will echo my friend Ace's sentiments. You have to check out GameOnDaily.com. If you check out and you haven't registered on there, what are you doing in your life? The website is amazing. There's content for you. You can submit it. You can curate it. You can block Polygon if you want, or Kotaku, or you can like them if you want, or whatever. Give you the tools to do that. So check it out. The source. I want to make it every week. Believe me, I do. My life is so busy, but I want to do it every week. But there's this tremendous pressure to do the next video better than the last. And that's the intimidating thing. I've got 2 videos in the works already that are not source videos. One narrated by my friend Hargeed, actually. And I've also got the source, very ambitious source. I was in Italy last week, and the source is going international. Best believe I took my camera there and made myself look like a fool in front of the Colosseum. But there's loads.
And I put Ezio's outfit on you and shared it on Twitter.
That was brilliant. So there's loads more content. And I'm sorry if we're not regular. I want to be. All I think about is our YouTube channel and our website. So please do check it out. And, God willing, one day Game On Daily becomes the force I think it deserves to be. But thank you so much, everyone in chat, for being so nice. Pixelbit G, it's okay if you're wrong. I forgive you. Everyone else, thank you so much. Smash the like button, man. Colt works so hard. All he dreams about, his mood is dependent on just the work he does on this stuff. He lives and bleeds it. That's why the quality is so high.
I want people to have a really good time when they're in the show. I want people to learn a few things and maybe get some insight that they didn't think about when they think about some of this news, the way it's dropping. Over 700 people that are here. Thank you so much. The chat. Thank you so much for the super chats that bring extra discourse and really great opinions and takes into the show and kind of build upon it. We really appreciate it. Shout out to Dub for breaking the record for the biggest super chat on the channel. Very, very cool of you to do that. Just thanks to the GoLive guys. They've got quality at the top of their game. When Asa is like the 8-armed octopus behind the scenes, getting gameplay up and making sure the camera feed is working, so Gaz can just be a fool with a little restraint. But we love you guys so much. So thank you for checking out the show. This will be up on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and a couple other places for on demand. It'll also be on demand YouTube. I'll get the timestamps in as soon as the show publishes. People are like, "Where's the timestamps?" It's like, they do take about 20 minutes or half an hour to kind of sift through and throw in. So we appreciate it. These guys know the struggle. Say goodbye to Asa and Gaz. They've been amazing. Follow them. Hit those links to subscribe to their channel. And like I said, sign up for Game On Daily site. It's really nice. Got everything in one place, like you said. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to hit this button that does the outro. If you noticed, if you want to go back, I kind of retooled the intro with a couple of new gameplay clips because some are kind of outdated. I got Halo off of there. Let's see. Yodani had to put a code in before he left. He gave a code for Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, the 2013 version on Xbox One and Series X. He's got the code in there. So if you're quick and you can get that pasted in there, that's a great one to own. Fantastic. Thank you, Yodani. You didn't have to do that. You're amazing. I forgot. I was like, I think we're going to get out of here. You guys are awesome. We'll see you later. Thanks for checking out XNC Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Peace.